So, Zakk,
What's up?
who's that guy?
Who is this guy?
It's Adam Jinrakai. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, man. So, before we started, you were telling us about your One Piece journey. You want to elaborate on that and a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I can kind of like elaborate on getting into One Piece and when life changed for the better a little bit. I was just talking with Zakk. I'm a little bit older. I'm 33. So when I was a kid, there was like just Dragon Ball for like 5 or 6 years.
Right.
100%,
I was lucky enough,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to find the manga at a Borders, which is now like a defunct bookstore in America.
Brother,
But,
yes.
I saw Dragon Ball, and I was so dumb at the time. I thought that they had taken like stills from the anime and just didn't color them in, and that was how the book was made. And I was like, okay, this is so crazy. All the art's so good. And I got super into manga, and it was they had released like up to volume 10, and then it stopped. For like a whole year, there was no new manga. And it was just terrible. But the promise was at the end of that year, at the back of the volume 10 Dragon Ball Z Big Viz edition or whatever that I had this ad for Shonen Jump coming at the beginning of 2003. So I got the first Shonen Jump at like Thanksgiving weekend. It was from a drug mart. We used to joke everything you could buy at drug mart. We actually got my parents' house. They found like the bulletin board for it at Drug Mart. So I'm at Drug Mart. I get the first Shonen Jump thing, and the one that I read the most, that one that I keep coming back to, even though there's not a lot of action at the time. I'm real big into action and all that stuff. Was One Piece. I must have read that first chapter in that. I wish I still had it. I don't have my old like Shonen Jumps whatever anymore. But I was super into it, and I read it pretty hardcore in that magazine until about the Barate arc. Because they were, I don't know if you ever got the American Shonen Jump. It was released monthly, and they do like 3 or 4 chapters in it. But I was just like, it got to Barate, and at that point, I was super into Naruto. Once that came out, I think it came out like in the second Shonen Jump, I was like super into that. And we were talking that it wasn't until about Marineford that I switched from being like a huge Naruto fan to being much more about One Piece.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about all of that kind of stuff because I am pretty similar in that I was really into Naruto up until Fishman Island when I caught up with One Piece and I started loving that.
Okay.
But one of the things that I found really fascinating about that story is the fact of reading Dragon Ball rather than truly watching it, right? Because my Dragon Ball story exists where I didn't watch the show at all, but I read the manga and I loved that immensely.
Okay.
Wow. I never knew that.
Yeah, I definitely saw it on TV, but the thing that blew me away was every single panel in the Dragon Ball manga, the characters and the art look amazing. And
absolutely. Dude, the manga is so good for Dragon Ball, it's insane.
It really is insane. And at that time, there wasn't like a Dragon Ball Z Kai or anything like that. And there was like tons and tons of bad animation in that original Dragon Ball, Z run or whatever. So I always hated the filler of like power upping, like
oh my goodness,
and charging up or whatever. And when you read
the Toei-isms that they put into that show, right?
What?
The Toei-isms that they put in that show, right?
Yeah, the original basically. And like I said, I just got super into the mangas, and then I started getting mangas, everything. I really like, kind of being able to dictate the pace of it if I want to read it in 2 seconds, or if I want to read it in, whatever. And I was still pretty into anime back then, but honestly, speaking of Naruto, I watched like the first 10 or 12 episodes of Naruto, and I could not stand the voice of Naruto.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that I pretty much stopped watching like anime for shonen type series around then, and I've always just read the manga since then, pretty much.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I am planning on watching, because I have seen like up to Marineford in the One Piece anime, but I have not seen all the newest stuff. But I am planning on watching Wano, probably starting this weekend. Spoilers or whatever.
All right, that's right. For you at home, this is the Friday before the Big Gear 5th episode.
This is the G5 episode, man. Yeah. I am not prepared.
Neither am I.
I am really excited about what that's going to look like. Or I haven't seen like previews or whatever of it. It looks like it's going to be cool, but I think it's time to finally go back and watch all the Marineford stuff.
Absolutely.
All the Wano stuff.
Yeah. Dude, Wano has been kind of crazy. Like, when people come to me, they talk about like when they want to watch One Piece rather than read One Piece, right?
Okay.
Every single person I talk to, I always tell them, don't watch the anime until Wano. Because Wano seems to be a little bit different. Wano seems to try to get away from those Toei-isms.
Yes.
As I like to call them. Because Toei has this funny little thing where Toei has very little filler for the actual content that they're trying to adapt, right?
Yes. It seems like they put filler into like everywhere.
Yes. Every second of the actual episode is filler. Because we don't need to worry about having a filler arc, like in the vein of Naruto, where Naruto had that like 4-year filler extravaganza that everyone hated. And Toei decides to have Goku power up for about 3 full episodes before we can actually get to the action.
And spoilers for you at home, that's when Polly P. Works stopped watching Naruto.
100%, yeah. So it always goes down to that, but Wano seems to be a little bit different, where they got a whole bunch of new guys to come in and they're doing their own thing. A lot of new, young blood coming in, adapting One Piece, a show that they are tremendously passionate about. Like, the Wano animation is pretty good.
It's delicious.
I've seen it put on like Twitter and Instagram stuff. It does look amazing.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people are going to go and they're going to talk about Aura Piece if you want to put a weird buzzword to it. It's like, oh, Aura Piece is Brad. But you know what? Outside of all of that, the animation is pretty great.
Yeah, no,
it is. Right. It is. I love it.
Well, and I've seen like stuff about that Aura Piece and everything too. And like, it was definitely evident by like this point last year, wherever we were at about Gear 5 last year with the manga. Yeah. Where, okay, this is like the Namek saga. So I'm not surprised that the anime is taking it to like, you know, that next DBZ level to where it's, you know, like that kind of, you know, which I haven't seen all of it, but I don't really mind the aura effect type stuff. If it adds to because like I'm viewing that as like a very different experience than the manga. For one thing, so just weird tidbit. I'm colorblind, so I really like black and white manga because it's, you know, easy to see for me, all that kind of stuff or whatever. Yeah. But it wasn't until I watched the anime version of Marineford. Now they didn't have great art and stuff during that, whatever, but the colors took me so back that I was like, oh, I never really realized until watching the Marineford part of the anime how colorful the One Piece world is. And it seems like Wano has taken that to the next level to where, oh, everyone's got, you know, pink, you know, anime hair, whatever, but it's like they're cool colors. Everything's pastel, like everything's very fluid. It looks like they're doing a really good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. I've been really digging what they've been doing with Kaido, especially during this later part when he's pulling all his dragon forms and whatnot. They've been pretty impressive animation wise. I'm digging it, especially like when they're also when they're entering Wano, the scene with the samurai when the Straw Hats put the mugs together. They all
Yes.
slammed him out.
Yeah.
Beautiful scene, gorgeous. But yeah, they've been doing good work. So Zakk, would you like to get into 1089? Is that okay with you, Adam?
Well, before we get into 1089,
Sure.
I need to talk about something else.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I watched PW. I watched your recent video.
Oh,
I watched your recent video, and it has gotten me incensed. It has gotten me.
Is that the age one?
The age one. It has
Yes.
gotten me upset. It has gotten me incensed. It has gotten me angry.
Oh no.
As I always am whenever I think about one specific One Piece character that exists in Wano. Do you know which character that is?
I don't know.
The one character I'm thinking of is Shinobu.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because you're talking about the age fruit, right? You're talking about Bonnie's powers. You're talking about how that really affects, is according to Toki's powers. And eventually you go in to talk about how that affects or is compared to Shinobu.
Right.
Shinobu, I've come to realize, Shinobu can touch the ground and create a pit.
Exactly.
Remember that scene where Kaido went in, Boro blasted the entire mountain, killed all of Monkey D. Luffy's friends, according to him. And then he got real mad and started fighting Kaido. Remember that. And then how did they get out of that? Shinobu touched the ground and aged it thousands of years.
Yeah?
Thousands!
That's how you really
years.
think about that, honestly.
She touched the ground and aged it to a point where erosion was going to build a pit 20 feet deep, 10 meters deep, so that they could escape Kaido's Boro blast that annihilated a whole mountain.
That it did.
Diggity dog, we've had 20 years. 20 years to get everything set up. 20 years that we could have built any plan to go in and defeat Kaido. Every single one of the defenses of Wano were 100% built around Orochi.
Yeah.
Orochi was in the flower capital the whole time. He had all of his strongest samurais. He had the entire Yakuza. He had his ninja network at the flower capital.
He sure
You
did.
are telling me that the Scabbard's most prominent ninja, a ninja
Yeah.
in Wano, someone who is meant to be stealthy, someone who is meant to be tremendously unseen. You're telling me Shinobu could not have taken the advantage of Kaido going to a sky island to murder himself. You're telling me Shinobu couldn't have hid inside a box in Kaido's sleeping chambers?
And aged him 100 years. Oh,
100 years. 100 years.
Could be.
Who knows
All
what that
Shinobu
would
has
be
to
for?
do, all Shinobu has to do is sit in a barrel for about 10 days. Should be easy for a ninja. What are ninjas known for? Sneaking into Japanese castles unseen. You're telling me Shinobu can't go in, sit inside of a barrel for 10 days, wait for Kaido to fall asleep, and age him 10,000 years? That's the end of Kaido! That's the end of Wano right there!
But Zakk, you forget hockey though.
Shinobu is so absolutely terrible at being a ninja. Shinobu is so terrible at the one thing that she's supposed to do
Yeah.
that her one power, that is the one power that could end Kaido immediately, isn't utilized. Because she sucks at her job.
Well, it's almost like she was just put into the story to age up Momonosuke.
Basically.
I do not care if she is there to age up Momonosuke. I care that she is there to give Nami something to do during Wano, and that something to do is completely and utterly wasted on this garbage character.
But
Kill Shinobu! She ruined Nami!
we have to put Nami in the short kimono, Zakk. That's the problem. We have to. That was the point.
Because Nami had nothing to do in Wano. Oda had no idea what to do with Nami in Wano. And because that, he had to make up this character that completely sucks at everything they do and said, Nami, you're going to be a kunoichi. And she's going to be paired with the worst kunoichi of all time. And so, Nami is going to spend 4 years, one of the core 5 of the Straw Hats, are going to spend 4 years of my life doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm upset and I'm mad and I hate Shinobu.
And
I mean, she was pretty prominent in the whole Cake Island stuff or whatever.
Shinobu?
Nami.
No, Nami.
Oh yeah, Nami was definitely prominent in the whole Cake. I still
I'm
want.
the same way as you, where it's like, if you know, it's all over now, so you can look back and it's not as bad, whatever. But you were talking earlier about when how Shinobu saving the crew and that fight with Kaido that Luffy has. That was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
In real time, whenever he punched him and then got one-shotted. And
That
it was
about
like
a year ago that Gear 5 happened.
yes. And it's like the last, I don't even know, 2 years of Wano with the chapter 1000 and everything. It was like, all action packed. But it was a pretty slow build up to me, before that.
Yeah. It's not even about the slow buildup. It's about trying. Like, what is the point of Wano? What is the point of this entire arc?
I would say that it was pretty much the big arc to power up Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji.
Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. 3 members of the Straw Hat crew. If that were the case, we would not have spent so much time with the rest of the Straw Hat crew. The entire purpose of Wano, at least that I believe, the entire purpose of Wano was to prove that the Straw Hats were a Yonko crew that could compete with a Yonko crew.
I agree. I definitely agree.
This was the saga where we were supposed to show that our boys were at the level of Shanks, where every single member of the Straw Hat crew could fight and defeat a higher member of a Yonko crew. That is what I believe.
So I agree. It was definitely like the arc to show that like everything before here would kind of be easy to the Straw Hats.
Yes.
After this.
And that's solidified by after the arc is over, we see Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, the other guy whose name escapes me, sitting out on a cliffside looking at Yamato and Momo fight off an admiral and questioning if they should join in. They are where Rayleigh was. They are. So, yeah. It's perfectly that. It's showing that they now have ascended to being a Yonko crew, which is why it's kind of weird that I guess Nami wasn't too much thrown to the wayside. I mean, she was.
She was. Too much thrown to the wayside.
At least she got Zeus. At least.
I don't care if she got Zeus. Nami. Yeah. Let's talk about what Nami did during Wano, shall we?
All right. Oh, lordy. Okay.
Nami got to spend 3 entire years being teamed up with a gag character that has the power to defeat Kaido in an instant. And it's so terrible at her job that she can't.
And as you
Nami wants to become a ninja, and she is teamed up with the greatest ninja that we have right now, who is so garbage at her job that Nami is already better at being a ninja than her.
Also, as you say that, what's very interesting about her Delafru and compared to Doc Q's or Bonnie's or even Sugar's?
Yeah.
Hers is permanent.
You talking about just her having Zeus?
No, I'm talking about the ripe fruit.
Right. Yes.
See, now, Law broke out of the sick fruits woman disease.
He's not breaking out of the ripe because he's already dead by the time he feels the effects.
Basically, I don't think you can defend off against that with hockey. I don't think you can, which is like...
Unless you know it's coming beforehand.
Exactly, which is why I'm like, oh no, Zakk is correct. Uh-oh.
So we spent precious time trying to build one of the core 5. Who are our core 5? Who are the core 5 Straw Hats?
You got
Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Usopp.
Yes, East Blue Boys.
The East Blue Crew. We spent precious chapters giving Nami screen time where she did nothing because she was paired with a nothing character. And then when it came time for Nami to show off what she's learned in Wano, when it came time for Nami and Usopp to really show off the lessons that they've learned, the power that they've earned, the absolute growth that they have accrued in all of East Blue, in all of the Grand Line, in all of the New World, what happens?
Big Mom shows up.
Big Mom steals their kill and they get to do nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So effectively, we have wasted our time having Nami in a single chapter of One Piece. We have wasted our time having Nami, one of the core members of our crew, one of the main characters. We've wasted our time having her in the story.
Yeah.
I hate Shinobu. That's what I'm saying.
Well, at least she became sexy again at the end of the arc.
I don't care.
Yep.
Nothing character could have been cut and nothing would have been lost.
And I can't even disagree, and that's the sad part.
And it's just like, I feel like I'm being a spoil sport. I feel like I'm just going, I didn't find the joke funny, so we have to destroy it. But nothing happened from it.
Yeah.
Nami didn't get any growth. Shinobu didn't get to do anything. What was the point?
Like I was saying earlier, though, I don't think it's bad to have a character that just does, one huge thing for like the story or whatever, writing wise or whatever. Yeah. I do literally think that the biggest reason that she has this broken devil fruit and that it was built up and that she didn't really do anything that detrimental or anything or damaging with it was because it's mainly to transform Momo into Anakin Skywalker.
And fulfilled Chad Momo is almost worth it.
Yeah, because he will do the thing Kaido does not do. He will become the carp that soars over the waterfall to become the dragon.
Final Momo is great.
He's amazing.
I love Momo. By the end of this arc, was it worth it?
I mean, we had at this point what we met Momo at Punk Hazard. That was like 2012, 2013.
Around there, yeah.
It's almost like all that was 10 years of build up for mainly Momo and not really Nami and stuff like that.
Is it worth it?
I can't think of one thing like Brooke did or during the war. I love Robin a bunch.
I love Brooke during the siege. Brooke and Robin is such an incredible team up, and I never even really realized how great it could be until it happened.
Also on that, and I did a video about this, there's a small Mandela effect that happens.
Go on.
So way when the chapter came out, when they were teaming up in Wano, all the spoilers were saying that Brook was affected by the mist and he saw a Yorkie and some dudes in some weird armor. That is suggesting that he's seeing the dudes from the battle convoy. When the chapter came out, that didn't happen. He didn't see Yorkie. The only person affected by the gas that Black Maria set up was Robin. Then when the anime episode came out, we get this beautiful section of Brook being affected by the gas and seeing Captain Yorkie and knowing that he's being tricked and cuts the beast pirate down, imitating Yorkie like a dog in the street. I love it. I love they added that in. Oh,
Incredible.
I kind of cry because I'm like, oh, Brooke. Oh, it hurts so bad. Oh, I feel
Every Straw Hat. The entire purpose of this is to prove that the Straw Hats are a Yonko crew.
Yes.
Every Straw Hat gets their moment, with the sole exception of two of them, Nami and Usopp.
It's so frustrating.
Well, I mean, it was only a page, but I think Nami's whole not believing Luffy was dead or whatever, that was like
that was a great moment. Nami.
That was it.
Go on.
Oh no! I was saying, it's like it was a great moment. That might have been it for Nami, I guess, in the whole arc. But
Nami. Let's think about Nami at the very beginning of the series. Let's think about Nami at the start of One Piece. Nami turns to Luffy and says, "There is no way that you can be the Pirate King. There is no way that you could ever find the One Piece. That is a dream that is unreachable. You are being ridiculous. You are being silly. You are being dumb. You are being stupid by believing that you could pull this off." That was Nami up to Arlong Park. And finally, after 25 years of syndication,
Count them.
we have this moment, this beautiful, glorious moment where we have someone telling Nami, hey, I will allow you to live. I will not murder you in the streets. All you have to do is tell me that Monkey D. Luffy is not going to be the Pirate King. And what does Nami do? We go through all of this, every single image, every single panel, every single moment of One Piece where Nami has seen Luffy go harder and go harder and go harder, all with the same declaration. And what does Nami say? He is the man that will become the Pirate King. That is a beautiful,
It is.
incredible moment.
I love One Piece.
And then we were robbed.
Yeah.
And then we were absolutely robbed.
Oh.
I hate One Piece.
No. Guess I'll
We
go.
have so much going for Nami in this arc, and then nothing happens with her.
Yeah.
And it's agonizing.
And then Usopp is just on the floor dead over there, so.
Yeah, Usopp. Well, Usopp also has a great moment where they cut back to Usopp in Alabasta.
Oh, of course.
The best Usopp moment.
Also, Usopp and Punk Hazard, when he confidently says Luffy will be the man to become king of the pirates, as Luffy Grizzly Magnums Caesar in the gut.
But more importantly, we cut back to Alabasta, the best Usopp moment, where Usopp is willing to put Usopp, for the first time
Yes.
in his entire pirating career, is willing to put himself on the line to attain victory.
Yes.
And takes a baseball bat from Mr. Five to the face.
A 4-ton baseball bat
Yes.
that can crack a stone pillar from him swinging it.
Yeah. We cut back to that moment. That is what we're saying is how hard Ulti is beating these people in the face. That is a glorious moment for Usopp.
Yes.
That is a great moment for Usopp. It reminds me of why I love Usopp. What do we do with that?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. We were robbed.
Well, Adam, what do you think about all this?
I completely agree with Zakk. My big thing is, while reading it weekly, I did not give at that point about what Nami and Usopp were doing.
Yeah.
I was so ready to have like I knew there was going to be some sort of Super Saiyan power up, so I was waiting for that. I didn't know it was going to be Gear 5 per se. I thought there was going to be some sort of power up thing, some sort of stuff. I was at the point where like Nami and all them and Luffy's dead the first time. I was like, I don't even care. I just want to get into the end game of these fights. I think I was still like 30 chapters away from it. But so I did not mind so much in the moment, that kind of stuff. But on reread or looking at it now, it's, it should have done more with Nami here or Usopp or whatever. And it's almost like all those type of characters that, we wouldn't be 100% sure if they could take on a Yonko crew or stuff like that. They almost just weren't embarrassed. And then now we're seeing them. Okay, well, when it's not against, the best of the best, they're elite pirates. But against them, they can survive and be emotional for a scene or two. And then we move on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Go on.
Do you remember there was a moment, a glorious little moment at the end of Punk Hazard? Do you remember that moment between Nami and Usopp?
As they capture Buffalo and Baby 5 because yes.
They both turn to each other and say, so long as the enemy's back is turned, we will fight to defend our captain's honor. That was an awesome moment, and I thought for sure that they were going to cut back to that and give Nami and Usopp a true and proper team fight against the absolute two Kaido pirates, the Toby Roppo, the absolute best that Kaido has to offer. Not only is it the best that Kaido has to offer, it is the two pirates that Oda has built up specifically between Ulti and Page 1.
And
Page 1 got a fight against Sanji.
True.
Ulti was so strong, Luffy thought he was going to have to go Gear 4th against her. What better champions for our coward duo to prove their mettle against?
Also, they're the two beast pirates with the most characterization amongst the Toby Roppo, or the Flying Six, which is so weird. Because, like, everyone else, like, who's who is basically, like, well, he's Lore Man, which is, I have feelings about that. But, I hated that fight. I can have nothing positive to say. It's just like, I wish they did more with who's who, because he's just kind of like a flat character. And everyone other than, like, well, Queen, of course, and Drake, is kind of flat.
I love Queen so much.
Queen is great. Queen saves the arc.
Queen is so good throughout the entirety of that arc.
It's insane. So every single panel
falls off.
Never. I will say, King, or his proper name, Albert. He is a good lore piece. Handshake to Albert. That's cool. I do not care about him at all. I just don't. Yeah. The Seraphim are a far more interesting concept. But Queen, that's my boy. Zoom indeed.
Boy. Zoom in.
How do you feel about this, Adam?
No, I'm on the same page as that. That's why that was kind of like when I was talking about like the not really care what Nami and Usopp were doing. I would include like I honestly when I was reading it when it was coming out, I was pretty much just interested in what Luffy was doing. Because that was, I know it's going to be the last fight. No, it's going to be whatever. I went, and I knew I had a really strong feeling that we were kind of entering into the final stages after Wano. I think everyone did. So to me, it was much more, okay, I want to get this fight over with so that the lore dumps happen. We get introduced to whatever the next big mystery thing is, the burn scar person, all that stuff. And we can, move on with the story. Because it did, not that I didn't like Wano or like that, but it really did, I guess, when I was reading it weekly. It's like, I was just thinking about now when you said about that first Luffy. And that first Luffy and Kaido fight part, that was almost half a year into the arc already. Yes, so it was like, just, not that nothing happened, but like a lot of it to me was just like, okay, I wouldn't say filler or anything, but definitely more along the lines of just like, building up this world and Lunarians and stuff like that. And I truly, I know it's all going to be important stuff later on, but at the time, I didn't super care.
Exactly. Also,
it is.
Go on.
Go on, you first. I've been talking forever, man.
It's fine. I'm also reminded of a point where I was robbed of something. Do you remember our boy Cuddy Flam, Frankie?
Yeah.
Do you remember the fight he had against nothing pirate Sasaki?
Sasaki, baby!
I like the fight. My problem is that I feel like I got nothing from it. I love that he played a dirty trick and popped out of the General Frankie to shoot Sasaki in the tummy. That was very funny. I like that he won that way. But I just thought that the Iron Pirate, the man named Cyborg Frankie, would develop something a bit willful in fighting someone who was the head of the Armored Squadron. I don't know. Maybe a little hockey, perhaps. Maybe. I don't know. What do you all think?
So, Wano is really, really weird, right? Because at one hand, we have this general feeling, reading week to week, we have this general feeling that we're just waiting for Luffy to do the thing that Luffy is supposed to do so that Luffy can win against the world's strongest beast.
Yes.
Yep.
On one hand, it is just us sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting for 4 years for Luffy to do the thing. But on the other hand, it also feels like we were sitting here waiting to have every other member of the Straw Hats have their true moments. It feels like we are caught in between this kind of dichotomy between Wano being too slow and also Wano being too fast. It's taking its time while it's also going too quickly and skipping stuff.
Well, and that's something that I'll push back on a little bit with what we're saying about Wano, to where I know a lot of the discourse around the arc was that conceivably every crew member was going to get a fight or get a showcase fight or whatever.
Yeah.
I never got that impression. None of the side characters outside of, I did like Ulti and stuff like that. But like aside from King and Queen and Kaido and Big Mom, I didn't really feel like any of the other villainous type characters were built up enough to where it would be a warranted, their highlight chapter type fight. So I was not ever looking at like, okay, I know Nami's going to get a fight against, this person and all that stuff or whatever. I was never viewing like that. What I did not totally realize week to week was that it seemed, looking at the arc now, I feel like it's not just making, Sanji and Luffy and Zoro more powerful. It was almost more like it's making the highlights of this worst generation, this new group. They're finally kind of taking over the narrative of the story, to where there's no longer, outside the Marines and Blackbeard and Shanks and stuff, there's no longer these hidden villains that are more powerful than them in the pirate world, because this is kind of the whole worst generation claiming that title of, hey, we're the big people in this series. Now, obviously, we've seen Shanks and we've seen Garp and stuff since then and everything. So the power scales and levels and stuff have gone up again, which they have to. It's a shonen manga or whatever. But looking at it now, it's like, okay, the idea of building up Law and building up Kid to these like viable Yonko level acquaintances or whatever, or friends, that maybe was the main point, more so than, we gave Nami a power up, but we need to showcase her doing something, or same with Usopp, all that stuff. I feel like this arc was, okay, we got so many different factions, we'll show that pretty much everyone's caught up, and then maybe the next arc or so we'll have more individual moments with specific Straw Hat members, because we're going to be following mainly the Straw Hat crew for the first time in a bunch of years.
And to add on to that, what I will say that I did like in terms of a character moment, which was a big deal, kind of like a big deal of Chomper and Whole Cake, not in Whole Cake, in Fishman Island, the fight against Robin and Black Maria, where Robin embraces that she is the double child and she will be a doe for those who depend on her.
Yeah,
Robin got such a good boost.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite, like, non big three whatever fight in the arc was definitely Robin versus Black Maria.
Absolutely.
20 years I waited for Robin to do anything after fighting that fat guy on Skypiea.
Skypiea.
Yama, I think his name was. Which, fun fact, apparently the power scalers tell me he is hypersonic. That's crazy. Anyway, go on.
But speaking about Skypiea, right? Skypiea came out, and Skypiea set up a group of pirates for our Straw Hats to go in and fight. Skypiea set up these guys with next to no screen time at all.
Yeah.
Skypiea went in and they set up some guys that we've never seen before at all, but they go in and they give our Straw Hats a problem that they have to defeat.
And none of them are Dofer users, might we add.
And we got one of the best Chopper moments in the entire series. I am a pirate. Chopper beating Gadatsu is one of the best things that's ever happened in this manga.
Yeah?
Gadatsu was not set up whatsoever. Chopper, we didn't set up for 3 years that Chopper was going to fight this guy, but Chopper just so happened to fight this random guy. Chopper beats this random guy using guile, using smarts, using streets, and beating him. And afterwards, Chopper's like, I did it! I'm a pirate! I did it! Aren't you all proud of me? And Chopper is alone in that moment, but he is not alone. Who's with Chopper in that moment? You and me.
Exactly.
Each and every one of us got to see Chopper do that in that moment. Chopper alone in a sky island, raising his fist in the air and saying, I am a pirate! And raising his fist in the air saying, I am doing the thing that I've always wanted to do! And we all cheer for him. There was no setup for that.
None
at all. But we still feel it.
And you know what he does after he wins? He goes and attends to the crony that suffered his boss's weird cloud disease stuff. So he's still a doctor. He's still what he is when he left Drum.
And Chopper is probably one of the best representations in Wano.
Yeah.
Chopper fighting Queen was awesome.
It's sick. He dodges the black coffee beam. It's amazing.
Well, no, okay. So I totally get what you're saying, Zakk, and the thing that's making me think of is, Oda is a slave to building the world, building the One Piece world, and I feel like with Skypiea in particularly, since it was such an out there kind of random experience, he could just focus on the characters and their growth and stuff like that, like with Chopper, like with Nami when she stuck with Enel and stuff like that. It was much easier to just kind of, hey, this is the Straw Hats going to a new world and existing, and then what comes and transpires because of that. I feel like Wano was basically literally the opposite, where all of the building wasn't really so much building to make the Straw Hats seem, stronger when they finally won this, won the arc and won the Wano saga or whatever. I think it was mostly about, this is one of the first real big world factions to where the whole world knows the power that's located here and that is going on here. And to properly convey how much of the world was kind of gripped by, Big Mom and Kaido as Yonkos. That was why this arc was so long and so, just all sorts of things with building stuff up, because I think it was mainly, hey, I've given you lots of stuff, Oda speaking, I've given you lots of stuff where we drop in somewhere, it's a strong enemy, and we defeat them. These people in Wano, they're known worldwide. They're kind of, the Marines respect them, all these world type functions that exist because of their power. I think Oda really tried to spend a lot of time to build up that power, and he couldn't just have it always be they one-shot Luffy.
Yeah.
And part of that, it's like, okay, great writing, all that stuff, whatever, but it comes with the side effect of how many chapters in a row do I go where I really don't care because I'm not learning something about the mysteries I wanted to know about for 20 years now.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because there's some good character development that no one really talks about. How like Chomper actually respects Caesar Clown as a physician, as a man of science, even though he's a horrible garbage human being, and accepts his gift of the new Rumble Ball. He gets a power up in this arc. It's amazing. But the problem is that we miss out on Nami. We miss out on Usopp. I'm glad we got stuff for Robin, just big character modes for Robin, and some for Brooke. But I think the problem happens is when there were so many cooks in the kitchen. And it's understandable because, we have the 9 Scabbards, we have the Yakuza, et cetera, et cetera. So even though it's not exactly what we want, the problem is understandable, even though it's kind of grating.
True. Well, and that's kind of, so, getting big brained or whatever, getting conspiracy theory or One Piece, related or whatever. I actually think that the big crazy point of Wano was kind of introducing these new next main kind of Achilles heels for Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji in particularly. And honestly, I almost feel like 20 years ago during Thriller Bark, he's planning Wano out mainly so that Zoro gets the new sword, Odin's sword, and that everything else he painted in during those 20 years until he finally got there. But that this arc was kind of introducing Luffy's got some sort of crazy devil fruit and soul stuff going on. Sanji might be a robot, and Zoro has the sword now that I don't know anything for sure, but it seems like a ton of things have been set up, especially at Thriller Bark, for Zoro to kind of inherit this sword, whether it's going to be good or bad ultimately. So I almost feel like Oda might have used so much of the arc as kind of, I keep using filler, but not really filler, but just like this kind of padding out the space and stuff, almost to hide from us that, the Straw Hat crew, they all might have gotten the thing that's going to kill them, maybe.
Yeah.
I can see that, yeah. Or
the problem with that. There's one problem with that.
Okay.
If this entire arc was about building Zoro and Sanji and Luffy exclusively to become the people that are going to be the Pirate King of the Wings, right?
Okay.
Because that's the general idea, right? We have our Pirate Kings, and then we have our Pirate King, and then the wings of the Pirate King.
Yeah.
Why spend 4 years building the rest of the crew if we aren't going to include them in Onigashima?
I would say, honestly, it's probably because we're not going to get character growth, things like that again. Until like the final fights.
Oh my god!
Doesn't that kind of suck?
I don't know. I still think we're like 5 years out, but I'm ready for this. I'm ready to know the answers. I'm ready for the series to end.
Oh,
not that I don't love it every week. What?
Nobody is more ready for the series to end than me.
Yeah.
But
and that's for me. How much more growth do I need Usopp to show me, character-wise, that he believes in the Straw Hats? How much more growth, with Nami and stuff?
But if we're going to spend 2 years of everyone's lives trying to focus on the rest of the Straw Hat crew, shouldn't we show that they are also growing?
True. No, true. I mean, I do agree with you. And I have been wondering, kind of, too, if the anime is showing a little bit more of that stuff.
I blame Film Red, but that's just me.
Speaking about Film Red, I can't wait to see Shanks's fraud fruit model rat. Can't wait to see it.
Incredible. It's going to be awesome.
Well,
I can't wait to see a shark fruit.
Oh, wait, a shark fruit?
It's always been interesting to me that Shank is an R, replace the N with an R and it's shark.
Incredible.
I never thought of it like that, huh? Well, that's pretty good.
But how does shark work?
Well, so just go on the crazy end. You guys are in America, I assume. Do you guys have any One Piece volumes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you read the back of them, they all have a little excerpt that starts where it talks about, like, as a child, Monkey D. Luffy dreamed of becoming king of pirates, blah, blah, blah. But
yes.
At least in the omnibus editions, they have this, like, same little paragraph at the top that introduces it. And every single one of them has a line about Luffy that says he'll never be able to swim again, a serious handicap for an aspiring sea dog. Well, up until the 1950s, if you said the word sea dog, you meant a shark.
That's fascinating.
So I think that there's tons of stuff going on with Shanks and this shark idea and just all sorts of crazy. I mean, you guys talk about the anime or whatever. I have not watched the anime hardcore. I have rewatched it the last couple years because I realized that they were doing a lot of, like, alternative clues with the anime in particular. And one of the biggest ones that I have not really seen anyone talk about is in the episode 4 or whatever of the anime, where they show the Shanks flashback, like what chapter 1 is in the manga. In the English version and the Japanese subtitles and stuff, they all say Luffy's a great swimmer.
Yes.
Now, the big problem with that is that in the manga, the main reason that Luffy is doing anything in the beginning is because he cannot swim.
Yes.
There could not be a bigger fundamental difference in character motivation than right there. And that to me was one of the first big signs of, like, okay, the anime shows a bunch of clues from a different angle of, like, weird things. That I think there's a huge chance that Luffy's an Atlantis person, a lost fisherman or something, or a monkey fish. In Japan, they don't have mermaids. They have what's known as Niyugi something, and it's a monkey fish. It's a mermaid with a monkey upper half, and they look all creepy. All the real pictures of them are, like, fake. They've been, like, paper mache or whatever. But that's, like, a huge legend in Japan, and I think that Luffy was pretty much some sort of a fish person who just never got taught how to swim in the manga. In the anime, obviously, he knew how to swim, it seems like. But I think in the manga, he just never got taught how to swim. And that's why he's able to be, tempted by the devil fruit and all these things. Because it was mainly a plan to get him to not be able to swim.
Huh.
Interesting.
I like that, Adam.
Because I'm very much from the angle that Shanks is going to be bad. Shanks is going to be a bad guy.
I want to believe that Shanks has got to be bad. There's too much against him at this point.
I agree.
Especially after Zakk's favorite film Red, spoiled that he was related to the Figureland family, and now we know the Figureland family is in line with the world government and the Celestial Dragon hierarchy. So, oh boy, fraud hair Shanks.
Kill everyone.
And I think Oda's doing a bunch of crazy references wise with history, and I actually think that, like, the main big secret is that Luffy is like Sacagawea / Pocahontas. He's naturally leading them back to, this native civilization. He doesn't know
they
it.
can take over once they find the Ancient Kingdom.
That's basically my line of thinking is that Luffy, they've been trying to find this place forever. Nothing's going to work. We need to do it like a sea turtle, where it's born and they naturally make their way back to where they were born or whatever. I think that's pretty much the big trick that's been played on Luffy, is that he's cleansing the world. He's getting every place he's been to free of bad pirates and very susceptible to what the world government can kind of get in there and do whatever. And then the other half is he's just naturally leading them back to this ancient kingdom thing, which they're looking for to destroy or take over, whatever they're planning.
That's hot,
which
Adam.
is likely what the One Piece is.
Yes.
I think that, I think in part, I mainly think the One Piece is a trap. Just a trap set by the governments and the Marines and everybody to, hey, everyone, you're so stupid. We'll get you to go after this thing that literally means nothing. Like, literally, the only person we've ever seen that was the Pirate King, all that got him was killed in front of a bunch of people and super poor. Like, it's the stupidest thing to be going after. You should be going after being king of the world or something in this One Piece world. But nobody pays attention to that because they're all obsessed with being the Pirate King. I think that's by design, to get you to not focus on actually changing the world, but to focus on treasure and all these things, and that they're really just using that to try to, get it for themselves or whatever power it is, all that kind of stuff.
So, with that line of thinking, here's what I'm thinking. What if Roger really was a dumb hick and Zakk had the finger on the button the whole time? And so Roger is the villain of the story. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. No, do you guys read Berserk at all?
A little bit, yeah.
I'm at the boat arc right now, so please, those spoilers.
Okay, I know. I won't spoil anything. You're far enough. I literally think that Roger's execution was a Eclipse type event, to where he might have switched bodies, or he could have just been like that Kuro guy in the very beginning, and he was hypnotized and he took the blame and the fall for never actually doing it.
So the idea of trying to find everything that this world has to offer is actually a trick.
I think it is, and I do think that there is some sort of special One Piece treasure that Oda has, planned for like the end. Like, oh, it's the manga. Oh, it's the friends along the way. Whatever it is, I think that there's some real version of it at the end. But I think that the version everyone's aiming for and everyone's currently searching for is this kind of like funnel trap that basically, hey, the person that's most likely to change the world is going to go after this thing. So we make them go after the One Piece instead, and we kind of control them by not controlling them to just do nothing that affects the world government.
Yeah.
Interesting factoid. So we know Luffy's from the Goa Kingdom, Goa. Goa, in almost every language, means to trick someone into going into a trap willingly.
Oh,
really?
Yes, that's a real. That's why most of my channel is word stuff, because all it takes is just the inspiration of, yeah, I should look up what Goa means, and you'll find tons of crazy crap. And that was one of the big ones.
Which languages?
Oh, it's like 20 of them. Yeah, I'll send a link.
Yeah, send me a link. That's very interesting.
It is. I'll take that link as well.
I'll put it in the chat thing.
Oh yeah, voice general. Yeah.
Is that? I guess would that be why everyone that found the One Piece found it so funny? It's not funny for ridiculous reasons, but it's funny for sad reasons.
Yeah, because they made fools of them all.
I actually think that. Well, okay, so I'm kind of crazy. I actually think that every flashback that we've seen is fake.
Really?
Oh,
yeah, and it's a whole.
They laughed at the One Piece.
Well, and I, honestly, I think that whole scene is Oda laughing at us. That no one thinks Shanks is bad. No one thinks anything's on the up and up, or everything's on the up and up. All sorts of stuff.
You think that Laugh Tale is Oda laughing at the audience?
Yes, I think that he has got a major complex thing where where it's almost like I'd almost say like a bad ending, but I don't think it will be. Ultimately, I think it's just going to be really, really bad before it becomes a happy ending, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that like that whole he laughs scene or whatever is literally Oda being like, well, hey, I've really got literally everyone fooled for 25 years. This is hilarious.
It is literally Horseshoe Finale, except a 25-year gambit.
Yep.
Here's a thought. What if Odin's journal is just full of lies?
Yes.
Oh my god. So Yamato is living a lie.
And she already was, technically, not living whatever her truth is, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And then now the thing that she's actually dependent on, this, for lack of a better word, Bible, is also made up of stuff that she's believing in full-heartedly, and it's all fake too.
Like the holy book in Gurren Lagann. Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, and you guys said something about the Roger being like, not a, I guess, influencer. He's more getting like the strings pulled on him or whatever. And I think so the real life Blackbeard worked under a number of pirates for many years before he became his own pirate or whatever. And rocks, the word rocks, okay, we say it like rocks in English. In Japanese, that word is going to mainly be locks with an L. So Goldilocks.
Goldilocks. Oh my god.
Now, where it gets crazy is I don't think that the main clue is just that Roger was part of the Rocks Pirates. I think that's one of them, but that's not like the main thing. The main thing I think he's referencing is the Goldilocks habitable zone for planets. And it's all sciencey stuff, but around
Goldilocks habitable zone, so just right, so like how Earth is.
Around every sun in different galaxies and universes or whatever. There's a zone around the sun, like where we're in, where it is the best conditions for human life, and they call that the Goldilocks zone. And I think that that's the clue for what Rocks and Gold D Roger and all that stuff. Something going on there where it's actually some sort of ancient technology thing, kind of coming to planets to give them life. God Valley. I mean, I don't know. God Valley. I have a couple different ideas, but I could see it simply just being where the access, tree of life or whatever is.
That's possible because the celestial dragon
is a very good thing, right?
Yeah, it is because the other the 5 elders are named after planets, so it tracks.
Well, and so it's also because we know Oda's referencing stuff that we know, anime, stuff like that. I think that he is trying to reference everything, and one of the biggest things is fairy tales,
right?
And the 2 oldest fairy tales are Rapunzel and Goldilocks
and Pinocchio, based off.
Pinocchio, but 100%. I mean, that's Luffy in a nutshell. It even looks like him in the original Pinocchio books. He wears Luffy's outfit. So I definitely I do think that is. I know a lot of people think it's Usopp stuff. I think that the Pinocchio is much more appropriate for Luffy, but I do think that Goldilocks thing is some sort of a weird, especially now that we know Lily, that whole Lily Nefertari thing or whatever, and how she's disappeared. I'm like 100% sure she went to space, and it's a whole thing. The first person in space ever was named Yuri, which in Japanese is how you say Lily. So I think there's a whole bunch of stuff with that, and then even Yorkie. You're talking about with Brooks' flashback. The first things in space were Yorkshire Terriers. So I think there's a whole bunch of hidden stuff. Well, okay. Just to go on a little bit of a tangent. The newest chapter.
Yes. Okay.
The newest chapter, that cover page with the cow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that cover page, this cover page is blowing my mind. Okay, this is one of the he does this all the time with crazy clues and cover pages, but this one he is like a new level. Like he's really going crazy with this. You guys, and maybe you guys haven't noticed this. I did not notice it for like 20 years. Okay, are there stars in the One Piece sky?
No,
there are not. There are stars in 2 panels, and that's it. Not counting cover pages. I think that the One Piece world, if it's not inside the mouth of a giant whale or something like that, they have a veil covering the stars. Because I'm not a navigator. I'm not good at navigating. But using the North Star,
the oceans.
Well, using the North Star, I can navigate anywhere in the world. Any person 1,000 years ago, any person that was on a boat knew how to read the stars. There's no need for navigation or magnetic poles or anything. You simply just need to know what the stars look like and where the positions are. That doesn't exist in the One Piece world, or else there wouldn't be log poses.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I think that there is like a literal and figurative shroud placed over the One Piece world in the idea that you don't know where you are. Without the stars, forget about days of the week, and you can't gauge anything about human created time without knowing the traveling, the rotation of the stars. And the One Piece world, you could conceivably say that it's lost in time simply because they can't view the stars. And so if Emu, if she's run everything, all she would really need to do to control the world and force people to go to places and magnetic poles and stuff like that with like weird compasses is to make either no one knows how to use stars to navigate, which with all the technological advances in the One Piece world, I feel like someone would have figured it out by now.
Right, Vegapunk or something, right.
Something, or they're just not there. So I lean more towards they're covered up or something. They're not there. We do see there are stars. I will preface there are stars in 2 panels that I found. When Luffy is sent by Kuma around the world to Amazon Lily, there is one panel with stars where he's asleep in the sky, and then there is one panel during Brook's flashback where when Yorkie's looking up at Brook in like the crow's nest type thing on the ship, there are stars in that panel. Those are the only 2 panels with stars that I've been able to find. And both of them have weird clues around, like with the Luffy one sleeping, and then with the Brook one, it's a whole thing with him looking through a mirror on the back of the page. But which a star could conceivably be described as a mirror, since by the time we see the light, they're gone. So I just think there's all sorts of crazy. I think that's the main reason why I'm so hyped up for the ending of One Piece, because I think these reveals he's been hinting at, and I've been finding stuff for years, and they're all stuff that's not going to happen till the end. Like Shanks shooting Usopp's dad in the head to prove to him that being a pirate isn't a game. I think he's had plans since chapter 1, but it's going to be, 1,200 chapters before we see it.
You know what's very interesting about this star thing? Who are the 2 most technologically advanced people that we know of in the One Piece world?
Vegapunk and Frankie?
And they are monogrammed by stars. Because that's fast, because Vega is a star. That's the name of a star.
Well, and Vega, not only is it a star, but technically all of the gravity that we experience on Earth comes from the Vega and Atep star systems.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Which is also why the darkness fruit is so important.
Right. Because it's gravity.
No. What kind of devil fruit would possibly be able to overhaul stars?
Zakk!
Oh, that's very true. That's 100% true.
It's just the awakening, or not the awakening, him being in a particular spot, or no, the Yami Yami fruit user being in a particular spot, because then he would create a veil. Oh, that's good. It's just what they all do.
I think it's either that or he's just so dark. The way darkness works on a scientific level is it pulls away the light. The light doesn't reach where it's going because it's pulled into this darkness area or whatever. So I could see him stand on top of the world and literally snapping his fingers, pulling all the stars into him. And or he makes a big black fog thing that covers the sky. Either of those I think is 100% possible.
But also every D is intrinsically built to go against the celestial dragons and their wants and their needs.
That is what we're told.
Marshall D. Teach might want that devil fruit so that he can undo that.
He could be. I'm more of the opposite realm, to where these people are carrying out the wishes of the celestial dragons, the world government, without knowing it. The best slave you could ever have is like Inception. They think working for you is their own idea. And I think that so much of the One Piece world is that. And Blackbeard might be the biggest example of that.
Or combining both of these ideas, we all think that Teach is the fakest D, but he could be the realest D.
The truest D.
Because everyone else is actually falling in accordance to what the celestial dragons want. But Teach sees the opposite. So that's why he's going his own way. That's why he wants this beehive of pirates to be its own kingdom. He's approaching his ascension in a very diplomatic and political way, not the freedom way.
Teach definitely sees the world in a different way, and he definitely knows more than he's letting on.
Well, I have a shameless plug. I have a video on my channel. Where
Please, yes. Go.
I'm not trying to talk too big, or I'm a big YouTuber or anything like that. But I think I figured out what the D actually means. And I have a whole video about it, and I think it means road. And the word road is crazy because it literally fits everything that we've said. It fits following fate. It fits following a path. And then, so I'm big with the word stuff. Okay. Yes. So a word's got to work. Everything's got to work like the grand line. You can go forward, you can go backwards, and you can go in the middle, and it's all different clues or whatever. Well, road backwards, D-A-O-R, whatever, means it means slave to heaven, slave to fate. It means like chained or tied to destiny, which is like in the logo with the rope going in the mouth and stuff like that. And I think on a base level, the easiest way to control anyone would be hunger. If so, create hypothetical here. If what we're told about devil fruits isn't true, and that you can actually eat multiple ones, because we've actually only seen that once, and it worked out just fine. Right. So the idea that no one else can do it, I think, is a little bit suspicious. Okay.
True.
But if you were just a hungry person who was adventuring for fun and went around the world and you wanted to try every single type of food there was or whatever, I think you would have the ingredients to naturally maybe make the concoction that the world government is so afraid of. So they've created all these rules to where, you can't eat more than one devil fruit or you'll explode, even though we've seen it happen once and no one exploded. All this type of stuff. You can control a human being by just controlling the food or their hunger or whatever. And I do wonder how much of the One Piece world just functions on this underlying natural instinct layer of just survival, fun, eating, all this stuff. And then that is can be the most dangerous thing in this world where food can be a power. You could, just from wanting to try every single food in the world, be the most dangerous thing in the One Piece world. So I think that they've created all sorts of systems to where you can't, that isn't even a thought in your head because the very bounds of reality say it can't work. And that's what Oda's kind of created to fool us.
Interesting.
This is one of the most interesting episodes of the podcast so far. Thank you, Adam. This has been great.
You're very welcome, guys. No, I love this stuff. But I mean, you guys can tell. I mean, if you don't know or you're not as invested, I guess, in the story, lots of this stuff just sounds crazy and sounds, oh, you're reaching or whatever. Whereas, like, well, no, when you've read every single panel, it's like some of this stuff, I think could be very plausible.
I agree. And speaking about the panels themselves, we touched on it a little bit. Would you all like to go into 1089? One Piece, chapter 1089, Under Siege. Let's go. Oh my god. All right. So who wants to go first?
I can totally go first. Honestly, like I've liked the little bit of a lore dump with the Gorosei. I've liked some of that kind of information that we've gotten, but honestly, for the most part, the last bunch of chapters, I've been waiting to get to Egghead Island. I've been waiting to get back to the Straw Hats and to have the story progress. And this is probably the first time. I don't even know. I'm trying to think right now. I'm not even sure the last time that I was this. I wouldn't say shocked, but like totally pleasantly surprised by the direction that's gone, to where all of that, we all knew that Yorkie, Vegapunk, none of those people, CP0, had a chance against the Straw Hat Pirates here. And instead of having to spend 10 weeks or whatever it would be following that storyline, it's already over, and we're at the part now where it's going to start, evolving and being, oh, the Admiral's here, Saturn's here, all this stuff. I was so pleasantly surprised that we jumped ahead of all that bullcrap to get to the point of the story to where things start happening again. So that was honestly my biggest takeaway from this chapter, was that, oh, not only are we back at Egghead Island, but they've dealt with all this superficial crap that I thought was going to be a drag. And now we're at the part to where, okay, Kizaru's showing up, Saturn's showing up, all that stuff, to where I'm excited and I don't know the direction at this point was going to go. I figured, we'll beat York, we'll save Vegapunk, do whatever inside Egghead Island. 10 chapters, 11, 12, a full volume of just BS. And instead, okay, we're jumping right into, hey, this is the next part of the story.
Almost like in medias res, but except getting the middle last, you're getting it. Except getting the middle first, you're getting it last. Almost.
Oh, I was just going to say, I can totally see that being, one route to where we get a couple of chapters of what happened. But I'm much more leaning towards the idea that we maybe get 6 or 7 pages of summarizing that in the next chapter. And then we're at, Kizaru and them invade Egghead. And I reread it before we did this podcast or whatever. But just even the chapter itself sets you up to the idea that we're about to, see all that stuff, and then it's totally subverted in a good way or whatever. So I'm very hopeful to the idea that we're just going to get, a couple pages of maybe, explanation. Maybe the anime shows it, whatever. But that we're already entering into, the Marines arriving there. I can totally see both ways. Well, that's actually the other big thing I liked in the chapter, along with like I said, like the ending spread or whatever, was that, the Don and Whoop Slap and all those scenes, to where I've been saying on my channel for a minute now, if the red line was broken, the immense world flooding that would result would destroy the entire world. And for the first time, I think we've gotten a big hint of that, to where, just one little island got disintegrated or erased, whatever it is. And just that has caused a world flooding event to some degree. Now, okay, imagine kind of the biggest secrets or surprises coming up is this idea of like the Straw Hat crew or Luffy accidentally setting off this type event that pretty much wipes the slate clean, erases the page in manga, whatever whatever meta correlation it makes to this saving the world idea almost ties into destroying it completely. And so I really like that whole the flooding aspect of this chapter as well. Like I think that we were talking earlier about what we thought Joy Boy's promise was and Fishman, all these things. I think that if the ultimate evolution of the One Piece world is basically like akin to that Mortal Engines book and movie where a whole island is a battleship. I think that that's kind of the ultimate evolution of the One Piece world, is like Iceberg was talking about, making a floating island battleship type thing, you know? And so if that's your end goal, and that process has been repeated in the One Piece world multiple times, the biggest aspect of that would be that half of your workers on this island are above water and half of them would be below water. So to me, if you genetically create a fishman race that can be subservient to you and also go underneath the water to make these island ship things, I think that's how fishmen started, and that they've been created by man as a tool, basically, to create this basically a island ship. And part of that would be building it underwater. And I think that this flooding event, like you're talking about, has happened and does happen every 100 years or something in the One Piece world. It's at least, I think, happened at least 5 times. This is probably the 5th time that it's happened, to where a complete total world eraser event, and then the whatever pirate crew or Eden's egg or Noah's Ark that survives that event comes out of it and controls the world. And I think part of that might be the celestial dragons, astronaut type gear and bubbles, is because they either left Earth or left the Verth, whatever the One Piece world's called. Maybe they left that and came back, or they went to the bottom of the ocean to survive this event, and they come back out, and then they control whatever races and stuff. And I really wonder if, like I said, we saw one island disappear, and the whole world felt that. So even just like 1 mile of the red line from top to bottom collapsing would flood the entire One Piece world catastrophically. So if it's that easy to do it, and that's the thing that every fan is rooting for, Luffy destroy the red line, that will destroy the entire population of the One Piece world. But I wonder if that has kind of been built in by the people that control these dreams and kind of like point you in the right direction or whatever. I wonder if those people, they prepare for that, and they already have systems like Thriller Bark and systems like Mary Joa, maybe, to where they're prepared for that cataclysmic event to then come out of it afterwards and, rule whatever's left.
I agree.
As far as we know, somehow poneglyphs were transported across the world to specific locations in the past. That's either a power or that's a much greater transportation system that existed than exists now in the One Piece world. Even in Skypiea, everyone kind of takes note of Robin finding the empty city of gold and all that stuff, whatever. But before she gets there, she finds a ton of like railroad tracks and stuff. And I think it's kind of like, in the pages of the manga, it's kind of like worded like, they must have used that to transfer the gold, more near to modern day. But I wonder if all that stuff was actually way ancient. And there's lots of crazy alternative history in our world of things like the American railroad system being dug out instead of put in. That in the 1800s, that we employed lots of migrant workers to basically dig out the railroad because it was an old, ancient function that existed way before steam engines were created in our timeline. I think that Oda is one of the biggest conspiracy nuts in the world. And I think he might be playing with the idea that they might have had, we've seen the Nell cover story going to space and stuff. The ancient civilizations of the One Piece world may have, been able to teleport for all we know. But whatever, they most likely had way better systems of transportation than just ships on water. And those have been, erased and covered up and destroyed, whatever.
Speaking of teleportation, do you remember that time where Vegapunk just teleported from Luffy and Co. to where Nami and Sanji were in the upper lab? Do you remember that?
Okay.
What was up with that? Was that do you think that's a technology thing or like a brain fruit thing? And I wonder, can they actually leave? Well, I guess they can. They can leave Egghead because I thought it was under the idea that his brain, it was removed and it's the entire upper portion of the laboratory. I mean, if anyone were to be awakened, it would be him. I know we kind of have a tumultuous relationship with awakenings on this program, but I could believe that he is an awakened Paramecia. Now, if he is an awakened Paramecia, it would be an interesting awakening because we haven't seen one like him awaken yet. Someone who is afflicted with their Del Fruit, I guess, curse all the time, and it affects their life. Like, say, Bucky or Alvita. They're the same thing.
Oh, okay.
There's a weird discrepancy between the Vegapunks. You have, I forgot his name. Okay, Pythagoras, the rabbit one. What's the rabbit one's name? Number 3. It's Edison. So you have Pythagoras, you have Edison, you have Shaka. Those are the ones that seem, and then Atlas. Those are the ones that seem fairly robotic. Okay, so I can understand how they work. Then you have Lilith and York. Lilith and York are in no way robotic or cybernetic. At least they don't seem that way. So I wonder how this sort of shared consciousness works with those two, because they just seem completely biological.
Yeah, Vegapunk honestly kind of makes no sense. Well, yeah, no, and I'm along those exact same lines. I think there's a huge chance that we haven't seen the final Vegapunk. There's a YouTuber, Kev Dog. I think he had a video that got big about there's a scientist in the old Godzilla movies that wears an eye patch. That he was thinking Vegapunk was going to be based on design wise, and I really liked that video. But I also kind of come to a lot of those things in different avenues, but I was thinking the same thing. And I do wonder if there's like some virtual reality plugged in Vegapunk husk sitting somewhere, and that he's controlling all these things with separated segments of his brain, so they're all separate, but it's all under him. Kind of like Pain from Naruto, but less corroborative with the working together and stuff. But I do wonder if we're gonna see some reveal of, oh yeah, well there's actually like a ghost in the shell Vegapunk body in the middle of the island that is the real Vegapunk, and these are all, holograms or whatever transmissions from his brain. And you know what? I actually before we got the Vegapunk reveal, I really thought Vegapunk was going to be basically a copy of the Dragon Ball Z World's Strongest movie, where it is just that brain in the robot jar thing.
Dr. Wheelo.
I was going to do a video. I did not expect Vegapunk. I thought we had like 5 or 6 more chapters before he was going to show up. And I missed it. I was going to do a video about how I thought he was going to be like Dr. Wheeler or whatever from that Dragon Ball movie. And obviously we saw him, and instead of that, he has no brain, it's empty. But I think there's a huge chance that we might see that brain type character somewhere on the island, and that's the real Vegapunk. Maybe even Kizaru knows that Vegapunk more than he actually knows that real one instead of these fake Stella ones. So when he gets there, he goes right to that place or something.
Kizaru by far has to be the most interesting admiral to me. Because absolutely. Because he's educated. He's the youngest one to have his Del Fruit. Because the others, we just saw Kuzan as a young man. He didn't have the Ice Fruit yet. And Sakazuki, we don't know where he got his magma fruit from. So he's had his Del Fruit the longest, and he oddly seems to have the most control over it. And it's been it's permeated through all branches of the military at this point. It's very interesting.
No, dude, Kizaru. I think that there are things going on with Kizaru to where he is one of like the power players in the One Piece world.
Yeah, yes, I agree.
I'm trying to find the picture that I have. There is a shot before they get to, I think it's before they get to Punk Hazard. And when you look through the light at it, it is like Kizaru is controlling the entire atmosphere of the One Piece world. Okay, I found it. I'm going to send it in the chat right here. I'll send the pages regular and then them on top of each other to show you what it looks like through the light.
All right.
Here's the first one. If you click the open chat.
Oh, I see what it is. Okay, I see what you posted. Okay,
So those two pages connect. So when you look through them at the light, what ends up happening is Borsalino, Kizaru, whatever, his finger where he's pointing in the middle panel and his foot in the bottom panel line up exactly to this thing getting hit by hail, by the just regular weather. Okay, and this was one of my first big clues to where I really thought that there's a big chance that the Vegapunk, Ultimate Vegapunk, was going to be a clone of Kizaru, but obviously we didn't see that or whatever. But I think he's got some major stuff going on to where he's not like even Marineford. If you really take a look at Kizaru's actions during Marineford, he goes out of his way to save Luffy and place him literally in the arms of allies multiple times during that war. I think Kizaru's main job was to get Luffy to survive that war and learn some things to it. And I think actually all Marineford was specifically for Luffy in like a crazy story way. But Borsalino, Kizaru, I think you can just look at his actions, and he basically saves Luffy like 3 or 4 times and puts him right in the arms of Ivankov and all that stuff. And I think he has got way crazy stuff going on. So I wasn't surprised at all that he is involved in this Egghead Island operation or whatever, because I think he's much higher up. Maybe not like officially because he's an admiral, but I think actual like function wise and relationship wise, he's much higher up than maybe even on the same level as the Gorosei or even higher as far as actual movers and shakers in the world.
You know what would be the biggest sort of turn of events? If he actually is the fleet admiral, quote unquote, and the crazy man, the man who shouldn't actually be this, but he is. What if Aki Ino has been the lead director of SWORD this entire time?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I remember that one cover with
exactly
him having the sword tattoo.
Yeah. Huh. Because I
think there's a very real possibility that both Akoji, whatever you say, I think Kuzan, and the lava guy. I think there's a big chance that they are actually working together still, and that they don't know it per se, but like the whole other faction of the government could funnel down to Kizaru working against them.
Yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say, to add on to what you're saying, at a base level, the first ability that we see from these pacifistas are his laser. So it's conceivable to think that Vegapunk's first ever project and first real, like, hardcore test dummy, whatever, was Kizaru. So if there was ever going to be a character that's super connected to, like, the origins of Vegapunk, I would say there's lots of evidence to it being Kizaru.
But yeah, I can kind of believe too that he might be a cyborg. Or you know what?
I can see that.
You mentioned we're in like the android saga bit of One Piece right now. What if Kizaru is just Cell?
I think that could be. I think that is a very real thing. I think that's a very real thing. Like, and I would say, just because you brought it up, and I think this is a very, very real possibility, is that just like how in Dragon Ball Cell had to absorb the androids to gain his power, what if the brain fruit piecing itself back together, and that part of that might be connected to Kizaru, that when that gets all brought back together, that's the cell type figure.
I like that.
And I could totally see that Kizaru is like maybe the main visual motif of that transformation, but it would also have, stuff with Einstein and stuff with I think there's a big chance actually that they combine and it looks a lot like Tesla. But I could totally see that being the cell type character, because I do think that's what's coming. If it's not going to be Blackbeard absorbing all these powers and showing them, I think it could be something like this has been this faction of the world government's ultimate plan was to create Kizarus, a million of them that all have these crazy powers.
I agree.
I think one of his first attacks that we even see in Sabaody is that Yamada with the mirrors. So I mean, he wears glasses that you can see his eyes, just all sorts of crazy visual things that I think there's a lot more to him than literally any other admiral, even a Koji, all that stuff. I think Borsellino's the most he has the most stuff coming up that's going to be revealing.
It's also interesting that he's a light man, yet he goes by the term unclear justice.
Oh, yeah, very true. Yeah, that is a big one.
But yeah, we will have to see. I hope Qin Zhao and the boys are okay during these climactic events, because Asai is one of my favorites. But
well, okay. With this chapter, one other thing that I wanted to mention that I just thought was weird. Everybody is eating in this chapter. What does that freaking mean?
Everyone is eating but the glutton.
Good. Okay, good point. But yeah, what does that mean? Like, I don't know what. I probably have to look at it more. But it's like, what is he saying? Where it's like literally Borsellino's eating, the Gorosei are eating, the Saturn's eating, and then the Straw Hats are all eating when they with York. Like, what's like that a clue to?
Even the giraffe sea beast eats the Cypherpole chip before he's shot.
Yeah. Literally, everything is eaten. What the hell is going? What does that mean? I'm afraid because so we were talking a little bit about it earlier with just I may have mentioned, I think, of Luffy kind of being the big bad wolf. Tequila Wolf, the bridge they're making Tequila Wolf to kill a wolf. I'm going along with the fairy tale idea. Every single fairy tale in the beginning was dealt with a bad fox or a bad wolf, and even stuff like a scapegoat can mean a big bad wolf. Something that a big bad wolf can mean a scapegoat is what I meant to say. To where you could propagandize someone to be a villain and call them a big bad wolf, and that could be Luffy as a pirate, whatever in the story. But I really wonder. I think a lot, even Egghead Island started with that shark camp and tried to eat them. I think the One Piece is a big kind of trap to get to the doors of the mouth of like a giant universal sea beast or something. I think the One Piece world might be in the mouth of a whale, and when you get to Laugh Tale, you can decide to break through that tooth or not, or something, crazy like that. But it all revolves around eating and the big bad wolf eating or whatever. And this chapter with all of that crazy eating stuff and literally every single person's eating in the panels, I'm like, what the heck does this mean?
Also, on the term scapegoat, I think that's a very interesting term because scape can mean escape.
Yes.
So when you escape, you're going somewhere. So that could be a reference to the Going Merry, which is, it's a ram, not really a goat, but still.
Well, no, and I think Eldies or Elides.
Oh yeah, Eli DZ. We've talked many times. Yes.
Yes, and I'm good friends with him as well. He's a great YouTuber. Yes. Check him out, Eldiz with a capital D. He has got some ideas of the original Joy Boy being like a type of like goat mink or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've talked to him about some stuff like Aegis. That word Aegis that means shield comes from the word goat skin. That means goat skin. But I like his ideas of that, and I actually think that it might be like literally a black sheep mink that is the first Joy Boy or was the first Nika, something like that. But tie into all that scapegoat, because we were talking about all these crazy dream stuff, and you'll have to check out the other episode we did before, but all about this kind of dream and wish world or whatever. Almost one of the kind of cool mythologies that's present in every single culture is the idea of a boogeyman / sack man who would kind of like Freddy Krueger or something, take bad children, enter their dreams, terrify them, Krampus, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, I think Luffy might ultimately be a dream catcher. We were talking earlier about what we thought his dream was, and how I said that I think every kind of person might have seen some version of their dream being accomplished when he revealed his real dream. And to me, that would kind of something that would fit all of that would be a dream catcher. But like the idea that maybe a dream catcher is like a giant wolf mouth that devours everything, and ultimately it, counts as like dreams or whatever, in a weird kind of, meta way or whatever. But I think in a literal way, there might be some stuff with a big bad wolf or whatever. And like I said, with Egghead starting off with that going into the mouth, even the Egghead itself with it cracked open kind of looks to me like teeth. I really wonder if all this eating stuff was like, Egghead goes crazy, but then at the end, giant thing pops up and eats everyone there, like a giant laboon.
I could see that. You know what's also very interesting? You keep mentioning a big mouth wolf. You know what's literally a big mouth wolf?
What?
Yamato.
Jabra, yes.
Yamato.
No, Yamato. No, yes. No. Hey, Yamato. We were talking earlier about my good friend Elson. He has a lot of ideas about Yamato, and none of them came true. Disclaimer, because they left Wano. But I think it's because Wano's going to be a big part of the end game. Maybe I'm not even saying they go back there, but the idea that people out at Wano either leave or Wano moves or something to be part of the final battle. I think a lot of those plot threads were left open because stuff like, literally, I think Yamato's Fenrir. And when Fenrir bites off his chains, that's when Ragnarok starts. Fenrir is the ice wolf in Norse mythology. I think whenever she breaks free of Wano, I really thought that the way the final arc was going to start was the moment that she left Wano, like took a step off of Wano, that something catastrophic was going to happen. Obviously, that didn't happen. But I still wonder, when she does finally leave, is that like the symbolic opening of Ragnarok? And the really crazy, funny thing with Ragnarok is one way to say Ragnarok is pandemonium. And the word panda originally meant messenger angel from heaven. And I think that's all Panda Man clues. And this mink person that's going to be crazy coming in at the end. I wonder if it's what all this monkey stuff comes from, all these monkey words and everything, that Panda Man, kind of unleashes himself to start pandemonium, which is starting Ragnarok, which would be, the cataclysmic, multiple event that seems to happen every once in a while in One Piece world to kind of cleanse it. This on purposely designed, pretty much human instrumentality project in a way where it's just, okay, we this happens every 400 years. We now know how to control it, so we use it, and Luffy breaks that mold.
Speaking
kind of like the end of the second Matrix movie, when Neo decides not to go along with the architect's plan to repopulate the world and instead chooses to save Trinity. I really wonder if there will be a similar situation with Luffy, and it won't be, I don't think it'll be like the Matrix movie. It'll be probably something where Luffy's emotions take control of him, and he's so mad or something, or he can't forgive Shanks for doing something to Usopp, something where that's the start of this cataclysmic event based on his character and his emotions. And that's like he's Paimon. He is the devil's number one servant who leads a trumpet touting whole orchestra of elephants to the gates of hell to open them every single time. That is like a real story, and I think that's what Luffy is.
And speaking of Panda Man, he appears in this very chapter. And he's currently in the East Blue. He's under the arm of the guy wearing the leather jacket.
I'm looking right now, dude. I had the chapter open.
Where it says East Blue. Look at the guy under the text box of the East Blue wearing the leather jacket. He's in his armpit.
Okay. On the very first page or the next time they come back? I see it. On page like 2 or 3 or whatever. I see.
Very cool.
And not only is he in East Blue, he's in Logtown.
He is.
So it's very interesting.
The start of the adventure into the Grand Line. Very interesting.
Yeah. Yes. And I would say it's like, because that's the thing that this is what I love about Oda. And I'm not saying that I'm near his level of manga or anything writing wise or whatever. But when you get to a certain point, if you've practiced enough or whatever, you start noticing when it's really good. And just that panel of Oda showing Logtown, there's not a lot of words here. It's not Jujutsu Kaisen, it's not telling you everything with words, but it's showing you that, oh man, this cataclysmic earthquake flooding event thing that just happened on a small scale, it's hitting everywhere. And because he's built up the world so much at such a masterful degree, all we have to do is see some word boxes that say literally 2 words and some characters, and we know this is affecting the entire world that we've seen.
Exactly.
Which I always love. And that's why it's like I said, this is, and like I didn't hate the flashback chapters. I liked learning about Lily and all that stuff, whatever. But this is what I've been waiting to get back to is this stuff to where everything's actually moving and going. And this chapter I thought was the first, probably in like 10 chapters that I thought was just perfect.
Also, we have a confirmed romanization that the town is called Logtown and not Rogue Town.
True.
I don't know if we got that back in chapter 100, but yeah.
True. I want to say, I think it's been fixed for like the English volume versions to be Logtown every time.
Okay.
I want to say originally, you're right, that there was some R's in there sometimes. I really like, we were talking about, I was talking about those crazy fishman ideas of where they have to work underneath the island and stuff. And one of the crazy things that I think that I haven't really heard a ton of people talk about, or honestly anyone, but I don't watch a ton of YouTube stuff, is Water 7. Every single building has Den Mushi antennas.
Really?
If you look at where they show iceberg right here, right next to the word box, there's 2 of them.
Wait, let me check this out. Hold on.
And if you go back to the actual, whatever the chapters were, if you look around, they're always in the top of buildings. And the fact that they're so prominently, if you're looking at the chapter, it's at that first double page spread where they show the empty Louisia place being gone. There's like a panel on the side with Laboon, and then underneath it, it's iceberg. That's at Water 7. You'll see the 2 antennas.
Oh, I see them. That's weird.
And it's never brought up. I thought, at first it was like a clue, it's because they're all spies and it's all, whatever. But I think it's much bigger now. And it's never even been mentioned that they all have Den Mushi antennas.
And you know what's weird, too? The Germa 66 ships did not have those.
Okay.
Huh. But, I guess they aren't Den Mushi technically. They're kind of just like big sea snails. Because a Den Mushi is like a type of snail.
True.
Or like it's a general breed of snail. There are several subtypes, but yeah.
You're making me think that Water 7's the snail tops, and that Germa's supposed to come over and pick them up like a warship.
But you know what's interesting about that? Iceberg did say that he wanted to turn Water 7 to like a big ship, similarly to like Thriller Bark.
Oh, dude! I think that the big major clue with him is in this world, the ultimate warship thing that would work in this world would be a giant iceberg you could live in.
Yeah.
If you made a whole island like an iceberg that could float, it could be hard and crash into. It could do whatever magical One Piece powers there are. An iceberg would be one hell of a ship type island in this One Piece world. And I think that him wanting to do that and his name are big clues to, in the past, that actually being a thing. in the One Piece world.
That's possible. Also, too, I would think that he too would have to have his magnum opus, like how Tom's magnum opus was the Sea Train, Frankie's magnum opus was the Sunny. So he would have to have a big project that he was successful in, because he wouldn't be a shipwright if he didn't. Rather,
yeah, well, no, I absolutely agree. I think that when those Sea Kings are taken back to Noah and Fishman Island, and they mention like that one clan that they can help us, maybe they can fix it or whatever. I think they're talking about Iceberg, Tom, and Roger, that clan. I just did a video about the Roger being a fishman, and I think I think Tom means twin. I think him and Tom and Iceberg and all of them are all related, and that they are mainly shipwrights. That Roger was the first one that became a pirate. But before that, they're mostly shipwrights because they can make the best ships or icebergs or whatever the heck they can do. And I think that Iceberg's ultimate culmination of his arc will be probably making this version of the stories Noah's Ark.
And to add on to that, you know what's weird about the Oral Jackson? Just how it looks. It's the only ship that I recall ever in One Piece that has mermaids on the fronts of it. Which seems like a really common thing to put on a ship, but he's the only one that has them.
We were talking about mouth stuff. Oro in almost every language means mouth.
True.
When it doesn't mean gold, it means mouth.
Man.
And that's another big clue to me of this whole like mouth of the wolf or whatever. Like literally leading yourself into the mouth of the big bad wolf. All that just makes me think of that with Oral Jackson.
Oh, man, you got my juices flowing. Goodness. Oh.
That's why my wife keeps me around.
Well, she has an excellent man.
I want to talk to that weird 5 chin guy.
Right? What? Is he a long neck?
Oh, okay, good point, because I don't even know.
Yo, that's a short. I'm making that short. Oh my goodness.
The guy in the middle has, okay, I guess it's a mustache. I thought maybe he had, like, how Kid has the colored in lips and so does Buggy. I wondered if maybe he was one of them.
Oh, yeah, that's a mustache. Oh, he has a weird, like, axe in his head. Oh, no, you mean the guy with the... Wait a minute. Oh my God, wait a minute. Is that Mass?
I think that's one of the hidden races in the One Piece world, might be the lipstick wearing people.
It could be. Is that Mass Deuce? No.
The guy with the beard I thought we'd seen before, but I don't remember him with the axe in the head.
Yeah, that's weird. Wait, do you remember Mass Deuce?
I'm terrible with the names, but he was around in Nina's lobby, right? Or the Buster Call?
No, he was with Ace. He's in the Ace novel.
Oh, okay. I have not read the novel. I know kind of the synopsis or whatever, but no, I don't know if it's that character or not.
Because he had a mask, and the mask kind of looks like these glasses here.
Okay.
Huh. I'll have to look into that later. But no, yeah, the guy with the axe in his head, he's interesting.
Yes, yeah, he is.
I wonder, have we seen him before?
I thought he was a guy with a marine hat that we'd seen, like Doberman or something, during the Buster Call for O'Hara. But I don't know if it's still him or not, though. I don't think this one seems to have like a tattoo and the axe thing, and I don't think it's the same guy.
I think he was the weird guy that was talking to Aki Inu when the guy whose name like Black Horse showed up. There's a guy named Black Horse.
Okay, was that like the one they first came back from last year's month-long break?
Yeah, and he was like a doodle guy. He was a little doodle, and he was like standing in the background.
Okay.
Because I know that the neck tattoo, now that you mention it, it does look familiar. I think that's him.
Okay. Oh, you know what? And I don't think he has an axe in his head. I think the axe handle is by his shoulder there, and he's just holding it over his shoulder.
You're absolutely right.
That one's a confusing one, though, because I've been looking at it for the whole week thinking that was like either his hair or an axe or a fin.
Right.
But now that I'm looking at it, I think it's just that it might just be the axe handle.
And I just noticed the cool old lady has stripes in her hair to represent the marine hat. That's very cool. Very cute.
That is a good one. That's a good one.
Oh,
She looks creepy. I don't know. I don't want to know what her powers is.
I would like to talk to her about her pie collection because she looks like she bakes. Very good, Oda. Very good. I love his old people. They're always fantastic.
I agree. Yeah, these are what? These are 9 Marines that I don't think we've seen some of them before, but like they all are probably going to play some sort of role coming up with interesting powers and stuff like that. He probably thought of them all on the spot.
Because I know Strawberry, the guy with the messed up face with the little mustache.
Okay,
the guy who talks to Saturn later. We've seen him a lot. Yeah. He's an old guy.
We've seen him before.
Yeah. Zakk, where did you get here? Go on.
I love every single one of these Marine Vice Admirals. They are all great. They are all special. I want to invite them all to a tea party. In their honor, in their favor, I want to talk to each and every one of them. I think they're great. I think they're good. I think they're awesome. They are peak One Piece, and I want to see each and every one of them defeat a Straw Hat. I want to see them bring a evil pirate to justice. I need to see each and every one of them do something great. I want nothing more in this world than to see every single one of these individuals do something amazing in this series. I love all of them.
I want to go to a karaoke bar with the long neck guy because he is funny and he is friend.
I want to go to a karaoke bar with the old lady because
yes, sir.
She seems like that she knows a lot about the world. She won't sing at all, but she will regale you with stories all the time. She gives me like Agatha vibes from Pokemon.
True. Gone.
Old ghost lady is what I'm getting from her.
Yeah.
She looks like she could be Perona's mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or grandma.
She looks as though she would call Suter very catty things because they grew up together in the Marines.
Oh, definitely.
Is he a giant? The dude with the big beard, not the big guy, not the other big beard guy, the one at the top. Is he part of the Giant Squad? Is that the same guy?
I feel like we've seen him before. I don't know.
Yeah, right?
I like the man in the bottom left with the bucket hat.
Yes.
That guy is cool. He is definitely a Cypher Pole member because he has a hat, and that's how you know that they are Cypher Pole if they have a hat. And then when they have a mask, they are higher Cypher Pole.
They are the highest of ciphers. I do like his top hat. It is good. My God, Oda's in his bag with these designs. I love his art.
Also, top left. Some Randy, or not Randy Savage. That's some Hulk Hogan-esque individual.
I was thinking that too.
He is just Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
brother.
Hey, and if you go down to the next page on above the boiling pot, I think there's another Panda Man.
Yes, you're right. He's eating. Our boy is eating ramen. This is not a drill.
Which my first video on my channel is like a 2-hour video breaking down how being sake is just totally a lie. And basically my whole thing boils down to literally the world boiling up to Panda Man coming out of a cast iron skillet type thing. And there it is right there.
I wonder if Panda Man is the cameraman. Have you ever heard of that? The cameraman?
Yeah.
The concept.
Okay.
I mean, that's just off the cuff.
I don't know.
That's off the cuff, but yeah, like not like your theory a lot more because here it is right here in the flesh. But
it's definitely something because it's either all a joke that he's in so many things in the background, or it's important. It's either one of those things.
Because it's like he was in the East Blue and now he's in the New World. If we're taking him seriously.
Yes. And not only that, he's like, so, okay, conceivably, the place we know the best going back with all these flashback things would be the East Blue because that's where the story started.
Right.
So we see him there.
Right.
Then the next best thing that is around the main characters that we have the most interaction with is Kizaru. And we see him there too. So it's like there is something about him being around where our attention seems to sit the most when we're visually taking in the chapter.
Exactly.
And it's like it's really crazy where it's especially the Panda Man ones are really crazy because he first shows up like I think in like when Don Craig comes to the Berardi,
Yeah.
in like chapter I don't even know like 55 or something like that. That's the first time Panda-Man shows up.
Mm.
55 chapters in, really?
Really?
Yes, yeah. And if you do the whole light trick or whatever, there's these weird boxes that are around the Barate in the background. And like the very first Panda-Man one, if you look through, he's behind the letter D, okay? The second one, he's literally coming out of one of these square cubes, and it looks just like a poneglyph.
Interesting.
And then the next one is something crazy with Mahawk, and I think it's just crazy like nightmare dream stuff or whatever. But it's like and then after that, the places he's shown in Nolan's flashback a couple different times. He's shown like here, obviously in this chapter, it's like he shows up so weirdly that it either all means nothing or it's one of the biggest things that Oda's been hiding.
That's fascinating, Adam. Jeez.
I think Power Vision. I just did a shameless plug or whatever. I do have commissions open if anyone just contact me. Amjin Rakai under Instagram, Twitter, whatever. I'm pretty available on anything under Amjin Rakai or whatever. But I just did a thumbnail for Power Vision, and his whole video was about. I think I haven't watched it yet. Full disclosure, but the thumbnail stuff. I think his idea was that the man with the mark by flames might be Panda-Man, or at least related to Panda-Man or something like that. So I think that was what his video was about, which I like, but I'm kind of more like that Panda-Man might be unleashed when all the poneglyphs get gathered or something crazy, like like an ancient animal power or something in the One Piece world, crazy, 70s anime type deal.
Fair. And I think too, it makes, well, not to go against anyone's theory, I think thematically it makes more sense for Scopper Gaban to be the man marked by flames, because he kind of represents what Rayleigh represents, since now we are in another leg of the entire narrative.
Absolutely. Oh no, and that's nothing against Power Vision either. I like him, whatever. But I personally think that it's Scopper Gaban as well. And I think that even the chapter 2 when Luffy goes into that Wizard of Oz whirlpool thing, I think there's a real possibility that could have been him. That just like Shanks, he was stationed outside where he thought the next Messiah was going to come from, or the next planned Messiah, Luffy, and he was out there waiting for him and started that first whirlpool.
I have a stupid idea about the whirlpool.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear it?
I would.
What if he's got the top fruit? So, like spinning tops?
Yeah.
He makes one and then throws one into the water and it makes a whirlpool.
Hey, maybe they could relate it to like the dreidel or something.
Exactly.
So I could see that. I could see that.
Amazing. I don't know. We'll see. They're mostly made of clay, but his name is Scopper. But it tracks. Whatever. We did get that. We did get that clay dude at Beehive Island.
Yeah. What if he's Groose's dad?
What if he's Groose's dad?
Or at the very least, an offshoot of what his powers, what his powers got, funneled down to.
Also, I hate how they treated my wife, York. I don't like it. York is my favorite Vegapunk.
Okay.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
You mispronounced Atlas. Thank you very much.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree. Where is she, by the way?
I'm boring. I think I liked Shaka, and then I liked the Einstein look, the regular one.
Also, can we talk about the fact that Saint Garcia Saturn shows up in this chapter? Everyone's like, dude, we have to take care of Jewelry Bonnie, one of the supernovas, a highly valuable pirate. And Saturn's just like, oh, she's just a little girl. We can let her go. Dude, Robin is on the same island. Where was this before?
Okay, here's a couple of things I'd say about that. Here's what I'm wondering. Is her bounty actually just fake like Robin's?
Maybe.
Because, I can't see what she's been doing to garner 300 million berries.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? Whatever she's been doing, even after Marineford, Akainu was all about getting her back for whatever, would negotiate with Blackbeard after all the stuff at Marineford. So there's got to be something super special with her.
Exactly.
Also, what's up with the whole we no longer have any use for her?
Check out the Paula Pete Works channel. A video just released about the age fruit that covers that a little bit. But yeah, it's very interesting.
Do you think that's what it's about? Like,
it has to be.
What's up with Bonnie?
Bonnie is the most interesting. I'm sorry, Law. I'm sorry, Law fans. He is not as interesting as this.
No, dude, you're absolutely right. Like Bonnie is such a weird enigma. But
I was say, don't apologize to Law fans. Apologize to me, the Gang Beige Gang, baby.
I like Gang Beige a lot too. Honestly, I really liked his powers and stuff.
He's my second favorite now. I love him. I love his weird little wife and his weird little baby. They're great.
Well, we were talking about all these big bad wolf mouth and all these weird clues and stuff. And Bonnie, not only is she known as the glutton, she eats all the time, all these things with a mouth and age or whatever. But Luffy literally calls her in one of the chapters Bon or something, which in Japanese can translate to, like, that's what they call the boogeyman. And this idea that this dream eater, dream big wolf or whatever, she has all those clues we've been talking about all night just in her, and we've barely even seen her.
And in some translations, they actually just call her Boogie. He calls her Boogie.
Oh, okay, that was what it was. It was something where it was like he pretty much called her half
baby.
But yes,
Bonnie has the bugs fruit, where she has a sack filled with bugs.
Okay,
just like my favorite character,
Crocodile.
Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas.
No, that's who I think Crocodile is based off of. I think that's what Crocodile is.
Really?
Yes, my wife figured that one out, actually. I think Crocodile is bookworms.
Well, he is well researched.
I think we were talking about Sax earlier and Blackbeard and stuff. I think another such example is Crocodile, who has the same scars that the boogeyman has on his mouth, he has on the middle of his face, and that he's the Sandman, which is the boogeyman in a lot of cultures. I think he's one of those clues to him being like a bag for a bunch of sand particles or shrimp or something crazy.
And he is the crusher of dreams, I guess you could say, and being a warlord and working for the government. So he crushes freaky pirates. He talks about that all the time during his fight with Luffy, but he ends up being crushed.
And if there's any credence to the idea that someone altered reality by making a wish that the world would make sense, Croc is an anagram for rock, but also he introduces this idea of the poneglyphs and this world history and there's all this stuff making everything that's in the story now make more sense. The idea of that is introduced by him and Robin.
That's true.
So I think that him and Robin in particular might be, I wouldn't say the children of Rocks, because I don't think he functions that way, but they are a male and female version of the original Rocks, to where they're kind of on this journey to make the world make sense. And Crocodile is part of making the nightmare make sense. And that he's kind of been doing all
both the male and the female version, because Croco Mom is real, baby.
Could be. I think a lot of those are I think a lot of those theories is what actually happened with Dragon.
Oh.
Dragon is Luffy's mom and dad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's where I'm more akin to think to that. Oda obviously knows the Croco Mom things are a big theory, and maybe it is something that happened with him too. But I think that the real secret is that it happened to Dragon, especially since most dragons in ancient mythology were hermaphrodites.
And so what is Crocodile's secret then?
Probably the same thing.
What if they're both?
I think it's that, or that he's literally like a bag of skin that was used to house a bunch of spirits. Like we just saw those Seraphim, okay, and the crocodile one has the scars, even though he's a kid,
right? And
Jinbei does not have the facial scars that he has in the future. So in my head, I always thought that maybe he got that scar from Whitebeard or something. Which, if his dad was Rocks, he would make sense why he hates Whitebeard, because he betrayed Rocks. But I think actually he got that as a type of like ritual for child sacrifice, where they tattoo your face, and that he might have been something with that, and then kind of like Blackbeard is a sack or a magic bag for fairy dust, and he's holding all these, like, I don't even know, bookworms or sand microscopic like entities or whatever. I guess sand in one, you could view it maybe as condensed light if you really want to get crazy. But I think that he might be something like that, like just literally just like the boogeyman from Nightmare Before Christmas.
What's weird about the sack of holding idea is that he does have a weird point in his fight against Luffy, in which his hook has multiple weapons in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of because there's a regular hook. He takes the sheath off the hook. It's a poison hook. The poison hook is broken off. Then there's a dagger underneath that. Yeah. So it's weird.
Well, and his powers don't really make sense for what sand does. But if you think of his powers like termites, especially when they're in Impeldown, that like he's able to eat through things like a termite, because a termite is actually one of the biggest things in the real world that eats through books. Bookworms are a real thing, and termites, book lice they call it too. I think Crocodile could be the like meta representation of book lice that eats away at a book, and in the One Piece world, that's this like sack man that has whatever going on. And you're right, hidden underneath the surface. He has hooks hidden under poison, all this stuff. I think that the crocodile himself is much like his blade of Captain Hook.
I don't know. I'm buying into your Kool-Aid a little bit, Adam, because he can eat everything but metal.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. Same thing with like termites.
Huh. That's interesting. It's interesting.
I will say for all those clues, I really looked at just them escaping Impeldown, and the way his powers function and the way he describes them and stuff just makes no sense for Sand. But if you think of them like termites, it's like, oh, well, okay, if he's a bag of termites or something, that makes a lot of sense.
True. Anything to add, Zakk?
I'm just happy to be here.
Okay.
I like the part where York said, "Save me! Everyone's going to kill me."
I like that she can't look over her own chest, and that's very funny to me.
Yeah. She's spread wide, and where is Lucci looking? That's right. He's a self-insert for you, the audience.
Oh my God, Lucci is me for real, for real?
Well, I wasn't sure. Did they want her to say that at the end, or did she ad-lib that?
I mean, I'm sure that if they didn't want her to say that Zoro wouldn't even hesitate to murder her.
True. I agree. It's like they want her, so like their plan involves her telling them to save her.
I guess.
As I said, come out here, Gorosei, you big cowards. You big old cowards.
Maybe Usopp has a plan, and he will do anything in Egghead.
Well, he's too busy wearing his glasses and being unpetrified, Zakk. How did he get unpetrified, Zakk?
Also, that nearly double-page spread looks terrible. And I don't.
What, the ending one?
The final one. Look at Zoro. He looks awful.
I can see what you're saying. I can see.
They couldn't even make a straight line for Usopp's mouth.
They haven't. He hasn't drawn the Straw Hats in like what, 4 months?
He's drawn them for 25 years.
He forgot.
He should be able to make a straight line for Usopp's mouth.
He forgot, Zakk. It's fine. It'll get fixed in the volumes.
I did see somewhere, this is the last chapter, I guess, he drew before the eye surgery.
Yeah, so that might be it.
So we might be getting, like, super crisp art or something like that.
I hope that Clean Piece returns.
I love me a Clean Piece. Do you remember, even seeing Thriller Bark? I looked at Thriller Bark the other day. By God.
Although I will say, Luffy eating that meat, clean.
I missed Luffy eating the meat.
Luffy has Luffy is always clean as can be. Luffy is always looking
Yeah, he's the best at drawing Luffy.
I see Hattori has returned, that double agent.
Yeah.
Hattori
like that,
definitely has a black Den Mushi under his hat.
Hello, Luffy.
Yeah.
Okay, what you were saying, Adam?
Oh, we were talking about some crazy stuff in the break, but we ended on the whole Figureland thing with Shanks. Okay, so I assume that you guys have seen Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one where Bugs Bunny is fighting Elmer Fudd at the opera, and he's like playing the Barber of Seville.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a legendary one. Everyone knows that.
Yes, absolutely legendary. I would venture to say it's probably Oda's favorite cartoon ever. That he's seen that one. Okay. Well, Figure for Figureland means barber.
Red
And
hair.
I think that there's, we're getting into Crazy Town or whatever, but I think that Oda's super big into music, obviously. Film Red, not even including
Pink
that.
Take, all that nonsense, yeah.
Yes. Well, he's really into like regular music, like the Beatles or the Rolling Stones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, if along the idea, like why I said that the D means road, there's a song by the Beatles called Penny Lane.
Good song, yeah.
Yeah, good song. Listen to that song sometime and read chapter 1. With the idea that Shanks is a barber. And he has pictures of every customer he's ever had the pleasure to meet. That's the bounty posters. He has the sword, which is his haircut thing or whatever. I think he's combined it with Sweeney Todd. I think he's kind of combined this Figaro idea with this Sweeney Todd murderer thing or whatever. But the Barber of Seville type thing, to where I think that you can play Penny Lane, because lots of chapter 1 takes place in the middle of that road by the party's bar and stuff like that. And if Luffy can be viewed as kind of a copper penny, which alchemically it gets all crazy to where there's lots of alternative ideas where a philosopher's stone was actually making copper, because copper is one of the most complicated metals to make. You have to exhibit a mastery of mixing metals to make copper. And many cultures in the past viewed the philosopher's stone. You never actually made it. It was more about, okay, you're a master of alchemy, and you show them by making copper. And it's crazy. Back in the past, when water's dirty, all these things, wishing wells originally were depositories for weapons after war.
Really?
People would go clean up the battle sites. They'd pick up the swords and all this stuff, and they'd throw them into the water well, because the metals and minerals in those weapons would actually, over time, clean out the water. So this ultimate idea of destruction and death with the war leads to full rebirth. And that's how wishing well started. You'd pass the weapon of your ancestor or whatever, your loved one, into the water, make a wish, and the world is cleansed a little bit by the water getting cleaner, that town getting better, whatever. I think Luffy, now, that sounds super crazy, but then you think, okay, Luffy's an idiot, and he has perhaps the most vast lexicon of weaponry words I've ever seen.
Yeah, he does.
Now, why would an idiot have that knowledge unless he's some sort of a wishing well that has had all these weapons deposited in him? And I know that sounds really crazy, but you go to Nico Robin, and Nico is an anagram for coin. And with rocks in particular, I think there's a huge idea to the story kind of centering around, I know it sounds really crazy, but the idea that in the One Piece world there exists like Dragon Balls or wishing areas, to where you can fundamentally rewrite reality in these zones or areas. And if say just for example, rocks got to God Valley, and in the middle of God Valley there's like a Shenlong type thing, and you can wish for whatever. I think that he made the wish for the world to make sense. Except it was written as CENTS. And a lucky Penny and Luffy, Philosopher's Stone, Transformation with Copper, Nico Robin with coins, all of the Roger Pirates with their gold and silver and bronze and whatever, copper, whatever, all that stuff, to where Oda's played with those words to fit into, oh, okay, you want the world to, because, like, just say, for example, Rox gets to the answers of the world and just realizes everything is so messed up. Everything is controlled by a few parties. Everyone's out for themselves. There's no love in the world. Whatever it is, the world's a terrible place. So he makes a wish to make reality make sense. And Oda introduces the main character of Luffy, who is going to be the catalyst that shows us this world in a way that makes sense to us reading this. And even more than that, in a way that lets us break down our own real world to learn about ourselves and, culture and the world and all this stuff. I think there's a very real possibility that all that stuff is going on. And the opposite side of that I think is what we were talking about with like Shanks and stuff like that, is in the One Piece world, everything's about wishing power. Now, the problem is that people in the One Piece world, like Shanks, like maybe Emu, have realized that. They've realized that the world is dictated by a few individuals' wishes. So they're all about, at this stage in the timeline, manipulating those individuals to get what they want out of their dreams. I think one of the biggest kind of hidden themes in One Piece is how deadly dreams can be. For instance, I want to be a manga artist. When I am in the drawing manga pages zone, I will draw for 14 hours a day. My back goes out. I have shoulder problems from my right arm from drawing or whatever. It damages my body immensely, but it's my dream. It's all I care about half the time. And I think that Oda has kind of taken that hidden aspect of all shonen manga to show how susceptible, especially young people are, to the idea of following your dream, even if it's not your idea. In chapter 1, Luffy just wants to join a pirate crew and have fun. The main aspect of chapter 1 to me is convincing Luffy to become Pirate King. Everything about chapter 1 is to convince Luffy not to just be a carefree adventurer on someone else's ship, but to be the Pirate King, which could, as we know from Roger, ultimately kill him. I think that Oda has kind of done a very meta opposite, thematic thing with the idea that dreams are great, but they can be, look at Berserk, extremely detrimental depending on who's in kind of charge or even who dictates that dream. And I think that Luffy, the Straw Hats, all of them are people who have the biggest dreams. And in the One Piece world, that's great because the powers that be that want to remain the status quo, they use those individuals to start processes in the One Piece world that have probably been repeated 3 or 4 times by now with Joy Boys and stuff like that. This world cleansing type event that starts over. And I think that without knowing it, all of the Straw Hat Pirates are on that path, from Shanks, from somebody, to just doing what they naturally want to do as characters in this universe. That's the biggest weapon. That's the biggest. I have the best weapon in the world because I have Luffy fighting for me, and he thinks it's his idea and his dream.
So, Luffy and Roger share the same dream.
We're told.
We're told, yes. What do you think that dream is?
I have a video on my channel about this dream because when the dream was first mentioned in that flashback after Marineford, I think I spent like a whole week just thinking about it. I came to the conclusion that there's no way to figure it out, so I started doing my own manga. that was in like 2010 or 11 or something. That was my initial impression of the dream, okay?
Yeah.
Later on, okay, years later, trying to do whatever. I'm okay. I'm more into One Piece. I'm looking for the secrets, all this stuff. The dream, the dream thing, them having the same dream makes no sense to me. Okay, we've heard Roger say a few things, mainly that he wanted to circumnavigate the world and learn the true history. Those dreams do exist in the Straw Hat crew with Robin and with Nami. In fact, almost every single character in the Straw Hat crew has some sort of tie to a Roger dream on the surface, at least, aside from Luffy. And I think Luffy's main dream, was, you know what? Let me see if I can find the picture. One of the big things on my channel, because I'm kind of crazy, is I do what's called if you guys know Blumfgod, he coined what I was doing. He coined it as the he be lit method, to where you take a manga page, you put it in front of a lamp, and you look through the page at both pages that are there, and it reveals crazy clues about what's going on. When you do that, it's a whole different story. It really becomes kind of crazy. But in that panel where Luffy's talking about his dream, the only thing that shows in that word bubble from the page behind it is the word "and" backwards. Okay? But a word "and" backwards is DNA. Okay. It makes sense because "and" connects things, DNA connects things.
Right.
All that stuff, whatever. I think that Luffy's dream there is to be ingrained in manga DNA, to where after every single person that's read One Piece, if they create their own manga, will have some sort of shade of this character Luffy. I think that's what his main dream is.
You think Luffy's dream is a little bit more metatextual than anything?
I think one aspect of it is. Yes. I think one aspect of it is. The real, Oda function aspect of it is. In the actual story, I kind of go through a couple different possibilities. But one that I think is funny and I kind of like is taking the biggest dump in the world. Which sounds crazy, but if you consider kind of flushing Mary Joa down into the abyss of the ocean as kind of getting rid of all the shit in the One Piece world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one possibility. I don't honestly have a great answer for what that dream, because I think it's so like when he tells it to the crew a couple of chapters ago or whatever, and they all look shocked or whatever, I literally think in that moment, each character, what they heard was different. And they all heard their dreams being accomplished in that whatever hit Luffy's dream was. And we obviously can't see it because that would just blow the whole secret. But each character there heard something different. And that was why they all had such different reactions
to
it.
Their own dreams?
What?
So you're thinking that they heard their own dreams, or they just heard something different?
So who
they are.
Yes. So we were talking about wishing wells and stuff. I basically think that Luffy is a wishing star. And one aspect of that, think about the Pinocchio movie, okay? In fact, a lot of these clues, watch all the Disney movies that are cartoons. You will find stuff that it's the same, all of the fonts in the background of One Piece, like a Jaya Island and all that stuff, they're all the Disney font that's used in Pinocchio. It's used in Snow White. All of the images in Disney movies that have writing in them, not like subtitles or anything, but like actual writing signs, it's the same font that Oda uses in the background all the time. I think Disney movies are a huge, huge reference for him. And Pinocchio maybe is one of the biggest. Pinocchio starts with wishing upon a star. So I think one aspect of that, with the whole stars not being in the One Piece world, is because we're seeing them in the sense that the stars are the characters. So we're seeing them there. But in another sense, I think that there's no stars, and that if you're a wishing star that passes by Earth, every couple hundred years, whatever, your wish would be to be like Little Mermaid, be part of that world.
Yeah.
And I think that in a lot of ways is what Luffy is at the core, is a wishing star / Philosopher's Stone type wishing equation that is planted into the One Piece world, and has happened a couple times. This character that's almost like a wish granting genie from Aladdin, because that's what he is. Luffy is he's a djinn. He's a genie, I think.
Which makes a great comparison when you called him Boo.
That's exactly why. That was definitely part of it, because I definitely think the rubber powers and everything on the surface, 100%. But the idea that he is taking negative energy, that he has to be unsealed, all of these things. Even like I was saying earlier with the anime stuff, the big clue that got me into, okay, the anime is telling the other half of the clues, is the first scene of the anime is the barrel that Luffy's in the ocean. The first scene in the anime is Luffy popping out of that barrel, literally unsealing Luffy. I think on that's just an example, but I think on a meta level, Luffy could have been the egg in Roger's ship. I think that's a big possibility, but maybe he was born some other way or whatever, like from the bottom of the sea or something. But the idea that he is a crash-landed wishing star, like Puss in Boots or something, and that other characters in the One Piece universe are kind of utilizing that to stay in power or whatever, that's kind of been what's going on, I think, with a lot of that stuff.
I'm almost speechless, Zakk.
I could be totally wrong. I'm not saying I'm right.
No one is going to be completely right about when it comes to every single one of Oda's organizing mystery boxes that he puts in throughout his series, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody believes that they are going to be 100% correct, because there's only 3 people in the world who knows what is actually correct. That is Oda. That is the one guy that Oda told one of his one of his editors that he said was the One Piece and what was the dream. And then there's the one kid who was on the Make-A-Wish that wanted to know what One Piece was.
And also, I think that the original director of the anime series was told.
Yeah, so there's a very select amount of people that know all of the mysteries in One Piece, and that's kind of one of the glorious things about One Piece. Yeah, that draws a lot of people to it, because it is so open. It is so open-ended. It is so vague that the One Piece, that Luffy's dream, that all of these different things could be anything. Yeah. And that's kind of a beautiful thing, isn't it?
It is.
I do. I do think that's one of the most beautiful aspects of the series, is that it's so. And what I think is really crazy with all that stuff is that I would say the majority of the ideas that people have are very positive.
Yeah.
Luffy being the big bad wolf and eating the world is, I think, something that no one has on the radar.
Because at the end of the day, he is an evil pirate, but we all know that he's got the best intentions.
True,
what do they say about intentions?
Yeah, hell is paved with good intentions or whatever.
Exactly. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
And that is, in a nutshell, I think that's been weaponized in the One Piece world.
And that is definitely possible.
Especially when you consider, just by the nature of what we know mythical Zoans to be, if they are the dreams and wishes of people manifested into fruits to become the actual deities.
Yeah.
Luffy's a monster. Luffy's a freak.
Yes.
Yeah.
A
cartoon is alive in their world.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
They have established devil fruits.
Okay. So this will blow your mind. What is Luffy to us?
Comic book character.
He's the same thing. He's a real live character in a comic book.
True.
I think there's tons of crazy. I mean, my good friend Elson. I don't know if you guys talk to him, whatever. He's around the Discords and stuff like that. He always goes back to the idea that in Japanese, kami means God, but it also means paper. Gaban, so Scopper Gaban, which is why I think that he's the man marked by flames or whatever, or one of the reasons why.
I agree.
A Gaban is the artistic pedestal that you clip your paper into to draw as a manga artist.
Oh my god!
It's literally the clipboard for drawing this imagination world. There's so many things with ink and everything. I mean, with squids and ink and everything. I think that in a very real sense, there will be, like, if Emu's not just straight up and like an ink monster, like somehow able to influence the actual panels of the manga with ink or something, I could see that as being like a whole meta villain, final bad guy, whatever. But if it's not something like that, I think at the very least, this idea that he has equated godly creation, God creating man, whatever the stories are, to the idea of creating a civilization on paper in the manga. I think Oda's taken that to this, the highest level that it could possibly be in realism, to where at some point that is what the powers in the manga are going to be, because Luffy's an eraser. Luffy's whiteout. He can erase ink. Everything else in the story is bound literally by panels of ink.
Yeah.
That's very plausible. But I'm so. What were you going to say, Zakk? Too, Zakk? What were you going to say?
That, I don't know. It's hard to
let me ask you a question that I'm always curious about.
Go nuts.
What do you guys think Joy Boy's promise was?
That is a very good question.
Ooh, maybe to return to Shabadi.
Okay.
Just like Luffy did, yeah.
Because
okay, true. I
was gonna do a thing about this because I from the second guild crossover stream, Seastone Sage, shout out to you if you're listening to this. She presented a very interesting idea that the original homeland of the fishmen and the mermaids was Shabadi Archipelago. That makes a lot of sense when you consider the bubbles exist there, and how do mermaids get around on land before they develop legs? With bubbles. So the area is actually made for them. But what were you going to say, Adam?
I was agreeing with you. I like the idea that it could have been they were up there originally.
And then if you think about it, by their nature, they're amphibious creatures. Amphibious creatures wouldn't exist in the water. They may be born in the water, but they live in places that are both land and sea, mostly, or land and water. And an archipelago, a mangrove, as it's been described, is just like a bunch of tree roots on top of the water to make an island. So it packs up. And then when you look at Fishman Island itself, it's weirdly artificial. Like there's this weird, what was it, like the mechanical bubble stuff to keep it give
like an atmosphere or whatever.
Yeah. Like that doesn't occur naturally. Somebody made that, probably using the bubbles. Same with the coating mechanism. They used that, probably took a chunk from some island and put it down there. So they were kind of just resigned to this place, while the humans or the celestial dragons, what we've seen on Shabani Archipelago, sort of just took the place over. And that also goes into a whole bit about, I guess, maybe bubbles being sacred because the various celestial dragons keep bubbles on their heads. So they could just... So, the Red Line, this is another land that the celestial dragons have claimed for themselves. Check it out on the Polyp Works channel. And could you plug your channel too, Adam, please?
Plug always.
Oh yeah. I'm Jim Mackay, and Polipie. I know you do videos every day.
Yes.
The fact that you're not
so many
more subscribers than me makes me so mad.
Oh well, brother, we all got to work at our own pace. It's fine. I'll get there, but you are amazing in your own right.
But I understand the struggle of, I have so many more videos than X, Y, and Z, but they have 20,000 subscribers. So you're one of the ones that I'm always like, if I had to pick people that would deserve more subscribers, Polipie puts in the work and has some great content, and honestly, not afraid to speak contrarian opinions, which I think is what the big problem with One Piece community is he's not afraid to disagree. If he has his own idea, he's going to say it, and I like that.
on that topic, and I feel the world for you, Adam, because you're a master in many ways. I am taken aback by your ambition to be a manga. That's why I shouted you out in my 1 year anniversary video, because I really believe in what you're doing.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Okay. Real quick, where can they find you, Adam?
You can find me at the Adam Jinrakai YouTube channel, and you can also I'm Adam Jinrakai on Twitter, on Instagram, on Patreon, all that stuff.
Well, thank you so much for coming along with us. This has been the Rose Skull Podcast, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you to our special guest, Adam Jinrakai. Goodbye, everybody.
Sign the skull. Sail along.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next one.